think you stand a chance?
Oh boy, here we go. Not in service, mental hibernation by Anjane, dedicated to all those people on the liberal left who fight against conservative inflicted injustice, and to those who stand up for what they believe in for the sake of humanity and future generations. You're acting like a political party is automatically able to determine what is considered to be vice or virtue. Seriously. Who gives a fuck what side you're on? Both sides are full of shit in their own ways. One side is this incredibly soft-touch way where they just say that as long as you ignore the bad, visceral realities of the world, that nothing bad ever happens. And the other side, albeit sometimes callous, is usually based on rooting things in what they can observe to be true. And sometimes vice versa. But at the end of the day, it doesn't make a fucking difference. Because this is not a matter of politicians or politics or anything of the sort. This is literally just you bitching about nothing and then trying to make it everyone else's issue. You are the real heroes who protect our communities from conservative madmen like Gage and the others who kill our democracy. Still, our human rights. Excellent job, dipshit, because apparently they freeze human rights. That make the human rights still instead of human. And here's the thing, no one's stealing your rights. People are just using their right to disagree with you. And you get pissed off about it because you can't make people believe you. And destroy our civil liberties. Liberties misspelled. How can someone be this damn dumb? Seriously. Piss off with this shit. Okay, yeah, so that's... This retard not even make it so you can actually turn the fucking page. And freedom. A shout out to all of the SJWs and the liberal left who Gage continues to hate even after being exposed. It's not really hate or exposure. I have the right to criticize and disagree with people's opinions and views. You're not exposing people for shit that they're not doing. You're just bullshitting people about what they say and believe. Because you think that if you lie, or lie by omission, it miraculously makes the other person a bigot. It doesn't. You're just a dumbass that doesn't know anything. Keep fighting the good fight. We love you forever. And thank you for your service. What exactly is their service? Screaming at people and doing nothing to really change the world at large? Let's be honest. Your whole idea of activism is someone bitching about nothing. Or bitching about a problem that affects so few people that it's a non-issue to the rest of the world at large. Chapter 1, Cass Warfox. Cass Warfox is a member of the authoritarian cult known as the GC2, which of course is run by cult leader. God damn, this thing looks like shit. Gage. It's not a cult. I don't run it. Cass is just an acquaintance or a friend of mine who more or less also ridiculed your stupid ass. Cass is a stalker who lies, steals, deceives, and slanders others. There's a lot more evidence to suggest that he completely fact-checks everything before it's released into the public, but yeah, you know, why would you want to listen to what anyone else says? It is despicable how Cass treats people of color. Shut the fuck up. Okay? You don't get to scream racist every time someone doesn't agree with you. That's your only fucking get out of jail free card, is just cry racism whenever you don't get what you want. Piss off. And those who are not conservative like he is. There's plenty of people who are not necessarily conservative who he has no real issue with because they don't act like a dickhead like you. He thinks that he is doing a service for his creator. Cass has never once said that he was religious or believed in any sort of creator. So again, you're literally speaking on the behalf and ideology of someone who you don't even know anything about. Why do you do that? Like, why do you constantly act like you understand a person's entire reason for being when you truly don't even understand your own? And make up excuses to do evil against humanity. Everything I don't like is against humanity because I'm a real bitch who needs to quiet about everything. Cass Warfox, conservative YouTuber. Put that on your business card. Is a very violent and arrogant person who does not listen to reason or does not listen, reason or wisdom. Excellent grammar, champ. And here's the thing, you don't reason and you're not wise, because your capacity to reason is entirely based upon your ability to twist people's sentences out of context. You don't even really reason. Your reasoning skills are essentially fucked because you babble like a retard about nothing and then try to convince yourself you know what you're talking about, when you have literally no fucking clue. He is stuck in his ways and is proud to start trouble in other people's lives. You're supposed to use apostrophe when you mean people's, as in it's a possessive dumbass. And not really. People being criticized on the internet for having really fucked up abhorrent opinions or doing really fucked up criminal shit is not the same thing as him following them around with a fucking picket sign hoping they get lynched in public. That's more your thing. He blames things on other people that he's done and constantly destroys their character of innocent people, all under the authority of Gage. No, it's more like he highlights people on the internet that could be considered persons of interest for law enforcement or people that might be a danger to children. And then you start crying and bitching about it because someone that I'm loosely acquainted with at times says things you don't like. Let's be honest. You're just mad that people don't agree with you and don't just fucking fall in line with the shit you say. That's all it is. You're mad about fucking nothing because for whatever reason you need to make every problem you experience the problem of everyone around you. It's not under anyone's fucking authority except his own. Cass was doing that shit long before I entered YouTube as a content creator, so I don't want to hear shit about it. Let's see. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time figuring out where the hell this bullshit is. Because every single time, like, this thing is literally written like shit. Let's see here. I wish you would have made it so I could actually scroll through this thing instead of having to worry about skipping pages because you're so fucking incompetent you couldn't do this shit by yourself. Oh, goddamn, this thing looks shitty. It's disappointing that even in the 21st century we still have heartless people who care about their own existence than others. Wow, it's almost like people care more about their survival than the survival of some random asshole on the internet that needs to cry about dumb fucking bullshit because they keep trying to have power over others by lying about them, hoping that people will lynch them. Fuck off. Fools in their own right. Piss off and eat a dick. Gage and Cass are masterminds behind the corrupted movement of GT2. It's not a movement. It's not corrupted. And we're not masterminds. It's literally just two people that made videos on the internet that royally chapped your ass because you can't lie your way out of it when they have you documented saying and doing some really creepy fucked up shit. Athena the guitarist, because they're a YouTuber. Athena's actually a centrist. Eat shit. Have harassed people as well in her videos. You mean has. Learn to formulate a sentence, you illiterate mongoloid. Yeah, her videos do not cover the entire agenda of the GC3. Oh, it was the GC2, now it's the GC3. We're upgrading. For example, she only talks about two of the victims of the GC2, myself and Jonathan. I love how you're not specifying who Jonathan is, what his opinions are, what he might have said to have more or less caused these kind of clapbacks, because, you know, if you give any specific details, you look really shitty. In these interesting times, Cass Warfox has decided to start a fraction of the GC2 called. It's called a faction, not a fraction, dipshit, because a fraction is like you cut like a pie into pieces. A faction is like a smaller group of people who have alternated or deviated to a different cause. Fucking retard. Called the Cat Warfox Mafia. Again, it was literally a fucking meme that was made as a joke, and you actually take it seriously, just like this GT. The fact that you believe the GC2 was a real thing because you literally made it up so you'd have a reason to cry about nothing. And the fact that you believe everything someone says so long as you can use it against the other person later is kind of sad because it means you're so incapable of thinking critically. That you'll literally just believe any load of bullshit someone sells you so long as you think it'll make you feel better about being a fuck up. I have learned something about dealing with these people. You don't learn shit, let's establish that right fucking now. Don't lie to everyone. Never try to negotiate with conservatives. You don't negotiate. Your only idea of negotiating means that all your terms are adhered to and everyone else's terms are denied. You don't really believe in negotiation. You believe in everyone essentially falling in line with your demands. It's not even a negotiation. It's more like you have the hostages and you execute them anyway when you realize you're getting everything you requested after you promised to let them go. Because they don't care about... Let's see here. This is so shitty. They don't care about you to respect your differences. They are so stuck in their ways that they are a lost cause. The people are such a lost cause that you try to antagonize them and harass them anyway. Eat shit. That being said, stay away from Gage and his cult because he'll make your life crappy. Just like he's done for hundreds of people who are living their lives in peace until Gage and his hypocrisy-based cult comes into the picture, meddling in people's personal lives and bullying them. You bullying me. Can you imagine being such a dumb little fucking retard that whenever you say and do fucked up things to people and someone tells you to shut your fucking yap because you don't know what you're talking about, your only response to that is throw yourself on the ground, piss yourself, shit yourself, and cry? And then you write an entire fucking PMS bitchathon series of books where you more or less complain about the fact that you're such an asswipe. You constantly go out of your way to be a retarded mongoloid who's bothering people because no one cares about you otherwise unless you make it a point to be up their ass. And it's not hypocrisy based, it's not a cult, and it's not really meddling if someone's actively criticizing someone else's views that they've published in the public space, dipshit. And here's the thing, the reason I'm, quote, made your life crappy is because people that know you outside of the internet could see your opinions, see the responses to your opinions, see the videos that document the shit you said about rape victims and shit. It's no wonder that people don't want to associate with someone like that. It's because all of your views more or less spell you as a danger to the public at large. It's not bullying if you do something that's potentially negligible harm to everyone else around you, or believe in shit that could cause negligible harm, and then you go out of your way to bitch and cry when you get anyone at all looking at you that's going, what the fuck are you talking about, you psychotic little nut? That's not everyone else being an asshole, that's you being a dipshit that says fucked up things and is surprised when those things come home to fucking roost. Gage intelligence, excellent grammar, dipshit. Is just like his fashion sense, non-existent. You probably shouldn't be insulting someone else's intelligence when you're so fucking stupid you can't even figure out how to use possessive and non-possessive nouns. Retard. I'm so glad that I am a liberal. Yeah, I know, it's like the only thing you talk about. It's like the only thing you talk about, as though you give any degree of a shit about it, is where you stand politically. Everything else you talk with like a very passe, devil-may-care attitude. Which makes everyone realize that you don't really give a shit about anything unless it's looking good to people who otherwise wouldn't pay you any mind. I am a liberal because there's too much hatred, lies, disorder in the conservative lifestyle. Again, someone being conservative politically, for example, does not necessarily mean that their lives will be full of hate and disorder. Or lies. It just means that you've personally decided that to be so because people that you don't like criticize you and you can't reconcile their reality for the reality that exists within the world around you. And because their reality and the world around them coincides perfectly in most cases, whereas your version of the world does not exist unless everyone else is wrong, and that's why you freak the fuck out and say everyone else is lying, because it's the only way to deny that you're out of your fucking mind. When everyone else in the world is saying you're wrong and you're the only one saying you're right, you gotta question why the fuck that is, instead of constantly saying that everyone else is just a delusional dipshit for thinking differently. Because otherwise, you look even crazier than you already do. I could never live with myself knowing that I am... Goddamn, where the hell? I'm sorry, this is a bitch to try to figure out. Knowing I am responsible for the suffering of others. However, Gage doesn't have remorse for his actions or attitude. Here's the thing. If criticizing someone for being a dipshit on the internet should automatically be considered some sort of a hate crime, then guess what? Everyone on the internet would have to basically serve a life sentence. Even you do. Even you would be guilty of that fucking action. Regardless of how desperate you are to pretend you're doing it for the right reasons, you're not. You're not doing it because you're actually wanting to criticize an opposing view. You're doing it because you're mad at someone and you don't want to actually admit it. Which is why he gets in trouble all the time. It's not really getting in trouble all the time. It's more like you cry and bitch to the people that run the website. And because the people that run the website don't really care about what goes on it, they just have bots deal with it. And the bots aren't exactly known for being 100% accurate with the reasons that flags go through or get reported. Because more often than not, you can literally get flagged for anything as long as someone spams the report enough, even if no one's actually breaking any real rules. I could literally just have footage of a kid playing with a ball of yarn, and I could still get people trying to report me for that, because there are people who will literally try to take advantage of how broken the system is. Homophobia is not a laughing matter. I never said that it was. Nor is the hatred in gay a laughing matter. I never said it was. I would advise anyone who reads this stand up against Gage and his approval of bullying gay people, calling them faggots. It's not a bullying of gay people. I call you a faggot because you're a brain-dead bundle of nails. That's all you are. You're just a bundle of wire. You don't do anything. You don't say anything meaningful. All you do is cry and cry and cry and cry. You don't say shit that's meaningful to anyone. And then you want to go out of your way to be up everyone's ass like a retarded bug, trying to cry about shit that you start, and then say that everyone else is at fault for your behavior. Eat shit. You have my full support as a transgender people. Excellent grammar, dumb fuck. To live your lives how you want without the authoritarian dictatorship of Gage, like a conservative who shares his beliefs. Again, what exactly are these quote conservative beliefs? That it's not okay for like drag queens to be allowed to be exposed to children at a young age. That it's not okay to force your child into drag at a young age. That it's not okay to like talk to your children about possibly making them start hormone blockers without proper consent from a medical professional. Without a proper awareness that the medical professional actually is aware that you're doing it and has the ability to stop you. I mean, seriously, those aren't conservative beliefs. You're just an idiot. Foolish within conservative circles is a disease. Oh, Jesus Christ. This is so shitty because I'm trying to find out where, like, my place, and it's a mess. Foolishness entering liberal circles is a pandemic. Translation. People entering the circle and actually being willing to agree to disagree or agree on some points of view is the same thing as everyone being brainwashed because you're nuts. Gage ideology is a pandemic to the world. Piss off and die. And as soon, you don't throw a sense of the word and retard. As soon as we administer the cure of wisdom and intelligence, he and his cult will be destroyed. We have victory over Gage and his cult because we are too intelligent to fall for his nonsense. No, it's more like you're too delusional to accept the fact that you're wrong. It's one thing if someone is saying something that makes literally no fucking sense at all. Because they're just denying everything that's factual around them that can be observed and studied, i.e. you. And then there's someone that says, look, according to the data and information that we've gathered, these things are inherently harmful because they cause A, B, and C as they start lifting off all the things that could be dangerous to people. Especially minors that people like you are trying to advocate for the rape of. But remember, you don't understand because your brain's a fucking broccoli stem. Be inspired to love everyone and unify humanity and never be inspired to sin against humanity like Gage does. Eat shit. Eat shit. Your whole idea of a sin against humanity means that someone just doesn't believe everything you fucking say and fall in line with it. That's it. You don't actually have a valid argument against anyone that's ever criticized you. The majority of shit you go through is just you crying about fucking nothing and then going out of your way to just cry, and re until finally someone either pays attention to you or beats you in the fucking head with a hammer. That's literally the only way you're gonna have any sort of acknowledgement in this fucking world. I mean, it is true that the only way you're ever gonna get any sort of real acknowledgement is if you just act like a harassing dick to people. I think you're well aware of that, and I think it's why you do the things you do. It's just that the only way to get any sort of acknowledgement from someone is just to scream as loud as you can at them or do things to upset them. Because that's like the only way people seem to even pay attention to you. You're not interesting or charismatic or, I guess you can say, sociable enough to really draw people in Because you don't have the charisma or the temperament or the ability to disagree with people without needing to always be right. Like, everything you do is entirely based upon the concept of, I'm right, no one else could ever be right unless they believe in my belief, then we're both right together. But if you disagree with me in any way at all, even if it's in a way that you have plenty of reason to believe that you're right to believe, you're still wrong because I'm right. That's literally how your fucking brain seems to work. Is that you cannot fucking live in a world where you're wrong. Even if the world where you're wrong is the only one that actually fucking exists to everyone else around you except you. But let's keep reading. You don't... Let's see. You are so much better than Gage. How do you know? For all you know, someone reading this could be a serial killer that's killed gay people by the score for no reason. You don't need to cover up your insecurities with hatred and fake news. It's not an insecurity. I just have the right to dislike your opinion and disagree with it and publicly say why I don't agree with it. Has literally nothing to do with insecurity and everything to do with the fact that I just don't agree with the things you say and I have a right to criticize it and scrutinize the things you say. As a person who lives in a country with freedom of speech, I have the right to contest any opinion that is relayed, whether it be in public or in private. If you don't like that, then go to a country where speech is essentially policed and governed by the government. But you won't be able to criticize the government either, and you'd be essentially living in a gulag if you dare try to. And it's not fake news just because you personally don't agree with it, Trump Jr. You don't have to cover up your homophobia, transphobia, pedophobia because you're like Gage does. It's not transphobia or homophobia, you're just retarded. The only reason you call things homophobia and transphobia is because you want to justify crying about nothing and say that other people are just being mean to you because of your supposed ethnicity and gender identity and your sexual orientation. These things have never had anything to do with it because your actions of you just being a dick is reason enough to not like you. Pandophobia is a fear of children. It's a fear of children. Like, pedophobia has a definition already. It's a fear of children, or like puppet-like creatures that are resembling children in stature, for example. That doesn't turn into bigotry against pedophiles just because you co-opt the name of an actual phobia people have of kids. Piss off. Because you are pure and peaceful. How do you know? For all you know, the person reading this could be a violent serial killer. Oh, but let's see here.
You decided which one of you will die first.
Well, Gage is wicked, vile, hateful, and rude, even if he is not man enough to admit it. Here's the thing, I'm definitely rude to people, but it's usually when they fucking deserve it. That's not the same thing as me walking up to a total stranger for no explicable reason and hitting them with a fucking tire iron. Seems like the kind of shit you'd do if you had a rough day. Like Blair White, Gage pretends to be something he is not. Not really. Blair White, conservative YouTuber, keeps claiming to be transgender, yet she is not. Well, you still identified Blair as a she, so you're still identifying her as trans, even if you don't like it. Because no transgender person would ever be conservative. Just because someone is conservative does not mean they hate other trans people. It just means that they themselves believe in some things like gun rights and freedom of speech. That is not the same thing as someone automatically becoming a religious fundy. See, the problem is here is that you're taking a very small group of people that may identify as conservative who are right-wing religious fundies, and you're basically saying that those religious fundies are automatically the entirety of anyone that's conservative because you've made that distinction for yourself, all because you've let news networks and the media more or less convince you about what's real and what's not. Now, are there religious fundamentalists that are conservative? Most certainly so. But there are also a lot of people who may have some conservative views who might not necessarily identify with the conservative side of the country. Who might not necessarily identify with the liberal side either, because they think both sides have kind of turned into this dogmatic, demagogue fucking system, where people are more or less designed to vilify each other now, only because of what identify as in terms of left versus right, red versus blue. Instead of just saying, fuck both of you, you're both full of shit. If you watch his videos, oh, now you're misgendering fucking Blair White, fuck off. I might not agree with Blair White on everything. I might think that Blair has done some kind of really weird, sketchy shit that's kind of hard to believe everything that Blair says. But I still like Blair more than you. And she's trans, so what now? How could a transgender person call another trans person a predator unless said transgender person, in this case Blair White, isn't actually transgender? So more or less, a person sees someone in their community or someone like them doing something that they themselves identify as a risk and a threat to the way the community will be perceived. And for some reason that person is to be vilified and basically treated like a fucking scapegoat for the difficulties the community faces. But they're not going to be allowed to call out the bad actors and the people that do dumb shit that makes the entire community look bad. How the fuck could you live with yourself knowing that you're fine with basically throwing Blair under the bus to protect someone who is more or less going to make that community look bad? Oh, I know, it's because you're the same kind of motherfucker. You're the same kind of fucking person who wants to hide behind the trans label, so whenever you get caught doing something fucked up, you just say that you're trans, therefore you're not responsible for your actions. My bad, I completely forgot about that. I completely forgot about that being like a big part of your character sheet, is that your entire purpose is simply to use your special transgender ability card, which allows you just to say, I'm trans, so you can't criticize me or disagree with me at all, or it's automatically bigoted. That's your only argument to everything, is that you just scream about being trans, and that's supposed to, like, wipe away people's concerns or criticisms. It doesn't. All it does is make you come off like a whiny idiot that can't defend their own actions, so they just scream about something until someone pays attention to something else, or until they can just get away with it by running away. Same goes for Gage. How can he say that he's, quote, protecting someone when he is hurting and not helping humanity? It's not really hurting humanity if I criticize a select group of people for doing genuinely abhorrent, horrible shit. Let's be honest, videos on the internet criticizing particular individuals and highlighting some of their ill actions is not doing damage to the human race, nor is it doing really anything to help the human race. It's just meant to be entertainment. It's meant to be informative at best, a little bit mean at worst. And if you can't handle that being on the fucking internet, then you shouldn't fucking be there. The very people he claims to be, let's see here, helping are the same people who he is racist, bigoted, hateful, transphobic, homophobic, and evil against. No, because when I talked about people specifically like you who act like whiny crybaby assholes, it has nothing at all to do with attacking people that are gay or a different sexual orientation or a different race or a different gender identity. It's entirely based upon the person's actions and the actions that they've done to others. Piss the fuck off. Gage is contradicting himself left and right, and he is only interested in his own delusional agenda, not the interest of humanity. Well, neither are you. You don't really care about the well-being of the species. You're concerned about what you might personally get out of it, as long as you pretend to be some bleeding heart activist. Let's be honest, you're not some bleeding heart hero who's trying to go out and save the day by putting villains to justice. You're not. You're not some Batman or Superman-esque fucking figure running around and saving the day. You're just a retard running down the sidewalk, shitting all over the place, crying about things that happened on the internet, and trying to act like it's some massive government fucking disaster that needs to be covered by every news network around the planet. It doesn't. It's literally just a bunch of bullshit that happened on the internet that you just never got over. Which is why more people have favored the B plus community. You can take the P plus and stuff it up your ass. Instead they can say, right. There's no real way to guarantee that more people or less people support it, because there's no way to get an accurate read. Because a lot of people might still be closeted in some parts of the world that are very, very bigoted against gay people still. It's a shame that people like Gage exist on this earth. These people are the reason why society is falling apart. No, the reason that society falls apart is because we have whiny little assholes like you running around, crying about dumb fucking shit, taking attention away from issues that need to be actually addressed and resolved by the public and by government officials and by organizations. But instead, they are stuck sifting through oceans of bullshit that people like you constantly cause by crying about fucking nothing because you want to make a big stink every time someone even so much as looks at you funny. And you shouldn't be being mad about people looking at you funny because you look funny enough on your own. Not funny, haha. Funny is like this is some kind of horrible cosmic joke, and I think they need to scrub the punchline out with a nuke. Conservatives are the masters of lies and deception. Lies and deception are the same thing, you dumb fuck. You might as well just say they're the masters of lies and lies. Excellent grammar. They only have one agenda, and that is to steal, kill, steal, and destroy. Can you stop reusing the same dumbass biblical nonsense to try to get people angry with other people about nothing? They will say anything to trigger your emotional state in order to control you. No, it's more like people point out the likelihood of someone like you being a risk to the public because of your fucked up rape apologist views, and then when you realize that people are going to be very heavily against a lot of your opinions, you read about it and say that people are lying by extension. They act like they love you, but inside their hearts they only see you as a tool to push their agenda. No, this is more like you, because you're a legitimate psychopath. You see everyone around you as though they're just a stepping stone to accomplish an end goal. There is no real love in the hearts and minds of the Republican Party and conservatives as a whole. Which is why a lot of these people are married and have children, whether it be like biologically foster children or adopted. But remember, that doesn't matter. Because it's not convenient for you if you acknowledge the fact that a lot of these people have lifelong partnerships and marriages. They show no remorse for their infliction of hatred on you. You hate more people than anyone else in my circle of friends does, because you go out of your way to keep making everyone else's life like a target that you want to destroy. They hate change, freedom of speech, and expression, and an open mind. You're not open-minded. A crowbar couldn't open your fucking mind. And here's the thing, you hate freedom of speech, because whenever someone so much as says, actually, I don't believe you should do that to children. Children don't exist, you're a conservative, get an education, yeah, and you start doing shit like that for hours, where you're just talking in circles like a dipshit, because you're too stupid to actually make a logical point. And then at the same time, I'm open-minded. I'm so open-minded that I shut down opposing views. That's the exact definition of being closed-minded. And for some reason you don't see it, that you're too damn dumb to notice it. They are against the truth and jealous of non-conservatives who succeed. The only thing you succeeded at is making a jackass of yourself and makes everyone laugh at you or call you a fucking nut. They hate equality, immigrants, anyone who is not just like them. This is literally you. You hate anyone that wants to be treated fairly because you believe that you can talk as much shit as you want to everyone else, but when they give you the same thing back, you cry about it and act like you didn't do anything because you're a gaslighting bitch. And you hate everyone that's not just like you because you seem to be under the mindset that everyone needs to look different but think the same, and that for some reason you think that's the same thing as diversity when everyone's like, yeah, everyone's a different color, but they all believe the same dumb shit. Guess what? That doesn't mean anything if everyone's just a fucking carbon copy of everyone else's psyche. Why then would anyone with an intelligent mindset vote for Donald Trump or anyone Republican? Well, it's quite simple. A lot of people don't like the idea of having a massive government where we're essentially bought out and owned by corporations instead of having people govern themselves. The reason people may vote Republican is because a lot of people might be in favor of smaller governments because they're easier to regulate, easier to maintain, and there's a lot less likely going to be confusion if these smaller governments can work together and try to more or less form a system where they can govern and handle things themselves. You might not like it, but it would work a lot better. They don't care about you. Neither do you. In fact, you care less about the prospective reader than anyone you bitch about. Except for maybe the swaggarts. Look at how Donald Trump treats Mexicans. He supports people locking people in cages for their ethnicity. Again, the whole locking people in cages thing has been going on since way back when President Obama was in office. It's just that it was never widely publicized because back then they didn't have anyone else they could blame. And it's not a matter of locking someone in cages for their race. It's a matter of simply saying, look, they're not here with the proper documentations. These detention centers are more or less just made to keep people held until they can be sent back. That's not the same thing as having people placed in cages and being lit on fire and shit, or having them put like an animal, like a humane society for people where they're euthanized, for fuck's sake. Let's see here. Attacking the LGBT people's community, insulting the international community, and will even murder you to get their agenda across. Wake up, people! Why don't you wake up, you dumb cock gobbler? Really, you're just making shit up. That's all you're doing. You're just making shit up and screeching at people trying to convince them that they're a bunch of brainwashed dumbasses in some sort of matrix because they're not falling in line with your crazy pedophile apologist bullshit. The conservatives are out to get you, and if you don't arm yourself with knowledge and defend your human rights, they will kill you. Not really, because regardless of what you feel about the matter is, like, human rights would still be defended in the United States. Seriously. When do you think they're ever going to be able to legalize killing a random person on the streets for no real reason that cannot be connected to some sort of crime that they might have committed which may have warranted vigilante justice? Practically never. Now, hate crimes do occur, and that is a horrible thing that does happen, but that is not the same thing as what you're suggesting, where you think that like everyone that's conservative in the country is miraculously going to turn up like January 6th, for example, and just go apeshit and murder their neighbors if they're not conservative. That's not going to fucking happen. You may have tensions and arguments in the public, yeah, but that's not the same thing as everyone pulling out a gun and blowing their neighbor's head off. A lot of people have a lot more self-control and a lot more common sense than to go out and just wantonly commit murder. If it was that easy just to be a murderer and not give a shit, we'd have a lot more gun deaths. It's like Gage, kill 2 people in order to push the agenda. No. Again, defending yourself from someone attempting to kill you is not the same thing as doing it to push some sort of bullshit desire to be right all the time. That's more like you. That's the kind of shit you'd pull, where the only thing you could ever think to justify yourself would basically just be like a whiny little antagonistic fuck to everyone. And then when people ask you to just shut the fuck up because you don't know anything, you throw a tantrum and start saying that somehow everyone else is at fault for the shit you pull. Conservatives want to get rid of intellectual property rights. Again, having the capacity to challenge your views and openly state rebuttals to them in the public is not the same thing as someone preventing you from declaring ownership of your own intellectual property. It just means the person's exacting their use of DMCA protection. They order the burning of books, censorship of our libraries, our lifestyle choices, and our beliefs. They promote a police state in America. They are heartless in their methods, and they will come up with any excuse that they can to have you fail. People don't need to have an excuse to make you fail, because you fail all by your fucking self. There's literally nothing anyone could do to you that you haven't already done to yourself, because you're so fucking stupid and inept that you can't function at all. Another thing, it's not a police state. It's not fucking 1984 or V for Vendetta. There is not a closed-circuit TV camera in every fucking corner. We don't have surveillance vans driving around, eavesdropping on everyone's conversations. We're not tapping everyone's fucking phone lines. So if it really was all that, don't you figure you'd see a lot more evidence than your own dumbass delusional ramblings? Fucking tard. Seriously, do you think you come off as charming or intelligent when you act this retarded? You don't. Again, there's the only people that were actually promoting the burning of books were hardcore religious fundamentalists in places like Virginia, Alabama, and Georgia, and maybe places like Oklahoma and Arkansas. That is not the same thing as people in the modern day simply saying that not everyone needs to be told what their sexual orientation is the moment they're old enough to read and write. Eat shit. Just let kids be kids. The world is fucking brutal. Let them enjoy it while they fucking can before life slaps it out of them. Gage, words never taken out of context in any of these books. Yeah, they are. It's literally all you do. If you're not bullshitting about things I've said, you're bullshitting about things other people have said that you then claim I said later because your memory is so fucked up you think everyone that's white looks the same. And then you want to complain about racism when you're the one that mistakes Steve, Damien, and I as all the same person when you're talking to 3 different motherfuckers from different parts of the world. Steve and I don't even really look that much alike. We sound similar due to the bass of our voices, but we do not look alike. His words are taken with the gravity that it deserves and is presented exactly how Gage has presented it. No, you're just a dumb lying retard who wants to move the goalposts so you can just keep saying that someone else is a bigot when they don't say shit like that. Gage is destroying his own reputation. I'm just reporting it as it is. No, it's not. You're literally just lying about everything I'm saying, and then bitching about it and saying anything that I say to criticize you is bigoted because it's you. His love for picking out capital letters in books blinds him from fully understanding the context of existence. Is understandably and completely clear. There's nothing understandably or completely clear about any of your fucking writing because it just comes off as a bunch of whining, babbling, dipshit bullshit. You don't come off as intelligent when you cry about fucking nothing and then try to turn into some sort of political scheme to get rich. I mean, that's all this shit is. You're not trying to actually talk to people about things. What you're trying to do is start fights with people and then whine about the fights you fucking start. And then you're trying to make it everyone else's problem and you're a dipshit that can't handle living in a world where you're wrong, even if it's the only one that actually exists. I mean, let me just tell you the truth, Sunshine. No one's ever said you couldn't state your opinion. They simply said they have the right to disagree with it. It's no one else's fault that you're a spineless coward who can't handle a disagreement to the point where you gotta go out of your way to try to demonize anyone at all that points out the fact that you're entirely full of shit. That's entirely on you. The context is that Gage is a hateful individual who hates drag queens, gender people, liberals, and the LGBT community. I can hear Gage mocking them with his whining voice like he always does in his ignorance. I'm mocking your retarded ass because you talk like this. Like your brain is slowly eating itself because even your brain realizes that you're a waste of oxygen. So it tries its hardest to string a sentence together. But it can't because your brain is literally like a fucking piece of rotten meat at the end of your fucking brain stem. Seriously. There's a difference between simply saying that transgender people deserve rights, but that does not mean that a trans person is exempt from criticism or admonishment for behaving in a way that's not justified. And it's not the same thing as hating drag queens to simply say that they don't necessarily belong everywhere, and it's not a great idea to expose young children to drag queens when they don't really understand what drag really is. I'm not mocking LGBT people when I talk like you. I'm mocking you for being a whiny bitch who literally needs to act like a victim of circumstance, when the reality is you're the one openly creating the victimization by charging towards people that he knows he can't handle rebuttals from, only to cry when he gets slapped in return. Why do you do that, by the way? Why do you always have to be the person that runs right into the fucking fire but then bitches when he gets burned? Sorry, I had to stop the recording because I thought I was gonna sneeze. Okay, let's do this. He has proven this in his YouTube videos and his comments on social media. No, it's more like I just don't agree with you about a handful of your opinions, and then you try to politicize it and act like someone's disagreement and disgust with your behavior is the same thing as someone being a completely mindless ball of seething hate that just runs around trying to destroy everything around it for no particular reason. You're literally just showing everyone involved that you're too damn dumb to learn that your behavior is going to result in negative outcomes when all you do is act like an ass to everyone. He exposed himself in his response videos on YouTube via his channel Gage the Doom Guy. I didn't expose anything. You basically just say that anything directed at you that's critical is automatically bigoted because it's directed at you, regardless of the context as to what was being said about you and by whom. You're basically just making a situation where you're always the victim regardless of the steps you take to instigate the conflict. And then you're trying to act like you having instigated the conflict is somehow never your fault, when it's literally all you fucking do. If anything, Gage has exposed himself as a hateful conservative who makes up excuses and fake words in order to express his evil views against the LGBT blood community. No, it's against pedophiles and people that rape children and people that want to fuck animals or engage in incest or people that rape people. That is not the same thing as targeting the gay community. Fuck off and die. The fact that he mocks the LGBT community and chooses to lie about his true intentions of the destruction of the community proves that the hateful agenda of his GC2 cult No, it literally just means that you hear that someone doesn't like pedophiles and rapists and animal fuckers, and then you somehow equate them to them hating gay people for some fucking reason. That's retarded. That's genuinely fucking retarded. You're basically just characterizing gay people as bigots used to back in the 1980s, where they'd be compared to people that rape children, or they'd be compared to people that rape people in general, or they can be compared to people that would, like, fuck their relatives or fuck animals. You're basically doing the same thing that they did in the 80s by trying to equate them to fucking people that commit incest, bestiality, and rape. And for some reason you don't understand the fact that you approaching them like that is just as hateful and bigoted as the people that used to behave that way during the satanic panic era of the United States history. Before these books came out, Gage was an expert in the cover-up game. He could say and do anything evil against you and delete his comments so that it be traced back to him. No, it's more like people would say things. You would think that they were me because you're a fucking retard that genuinely believes anyone that's negative against you must automatically be me or some extension of my will, when the reality is you're just a cunt to everyone. I mean, here's the thing, you're so fucking retarded that you thought Joseph Daniels was me when he doesn't even know how to spell simple words properly. Meanwhile, I have entire paragraphs of punctuated and perfectly spelled rebuttals to shit that you've said in the past. And for some reason, your little neuron-fied fucking lizard brain wasn't able to differentiate, hey, this guy can barely spell a simple word, as opposed to, this guy's actually making a series of valid and cohesive arguments against my point. They must be the same person, according to the retard that can barely learn how to read. But before you say, well, I know how to read, I wrote a book. No, you didn't write a book. You vomited through a pen. Professor Curious's fucking statements are perfect when it comes down to how you describe writing, because you don't write. You basically shit all over the place, rub it on yourself, and roll around on paper and call it a book. Again, you're a moral relativist, so what the hell's the point of saying something's good or evil if you personally don't believe in that concept of morality or ethics? However, in this day and time, it's supposed to be day and age, dipshit. Learn how to actually use that fucking turn of phrase. There are watchdogs who monitor Gage and his cult, including Stephen Trowbridge, a fake gay person who pretends to be gay in order to tear down the community from inside. What? So you think someone pretends to be gay just out of spite towards you? That is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. So what you're saying is, a man randomly decides to date another man, moves almost all the way across the country, and spends years living and cohabitating with this other man, openly has romantic exchanges with this other man, in wide view of people, occasionally on streams and videos. But remember, he's fake gay because that's the most convenient rationalization you have for why someone might disagree with you. I mean, what do you feel about that organization called Gays Against Groomers, for example? Are you going to call them a bunch of self-hating homophobes despite the fact that the reason that they're against grooming is because it makes the gay community look bad when there are creeps like you that use it to take advantage of idiots? Or gullible fucking children? Seriously, why are you not dead? Let's see from inside. Inside Out. Damien and others. Okay, hold on. I gotta make sure I'm not missing something here. Okay. Okay, from the inside. Okay, yeah, so that was the proper continuation. It's hard to say because, oh sure, now they actually added the fucking next page button instead of, like, for a whole fucking chapter it wasn't even in existence because this dipshit can't break up a book into chapters to save his own ass. Damien, Skyfire, and others. It had Damien's legal name in it, but I'm gonna use his fucking username because I'm not a fucking retard. What's interesting is that Gage continues his charades of regrettable and illogical actions against humanity. It's not against humanity to criticize particular individuals who don't necessarily speak for every living human being alive, and their behavior is not atypical of every human being alive. Like, if their behavior is, for example, atypical, then guess what? It's not every person alive being ridiculed for the actions of a very select few. That's like you saying anyone that's a racist is automatically like a figurehead for the entire group of people on Earth, because you need those people to be the figurehead to feel like defending them is somehow defending the entire population, which is basically the entire way you approach pedophilia. Knowing full well there are people out there just waiting for him to slip up, as Gage is known to do on a daily basis. Basis misspelled. Gage does not live in reality, but a fantasy world which he fabricated because of his mental conditioning. No, because, dude, if I was living in a delusion, for example, if I was so incapable of being able to differentiate reality from fantasy, I wouldn't be living in a house with access to the public. I wouldn't be permitted to go to a job, to attend a workplace. I wouldn't be capable of maintaining a healthy relationship or a job if I was so fucking delusional that I was literally just making up reality and different perceptions of it just on the go whenever. This is not the thought process of a sane fucking person. It isn't. Like, your only rebuttal to criticism should not just be, you're delusional. Why? Because I don't agree with you? Because I don't believe in dumb bullshit that you started vomiting on your fucking pen one day? Seriously, you need to stop smoking the crack. I think it's fucking with your brain more than everything else already does. Jad with you, a Jimmy Swanger copycat! Despite the fact that I oppose mainstream religions because I think they're all a bunch of horse shit. No human being, both alive or dead. How can you be both alive or dead? It's either alive or dead. Deserves to be hated or to receive such evil words from idiots like Gage and his cult. Well, what about people like Mao Zedong, Adolf Hitler, Saddam Hussein, Pol Pot, people that killed like hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people with chemical weapons and warfare and holocausts? Like, do they not deserve to be hated when their actions have openly killed millions of innocent people, potentially? Nothing that he says is reality. Excellent grammar, dumb fuck. And nothing listening to conservatives like Gage is a dangerous act. Yes, because when I tell you it's not okay to be a child molester, it's the same thing as reading Mein Kampf and becoming a radical neo-Nazi. Fuck off and die. This is basically Mein Kampf if Mein Kampf was written by a retarded pedophile who pretended that he had no idea what he was talking about, but then makes very obvious allusions to it. Foolishness is a curse to the soul, and Gage is foolish to the core. Because I don't agree with you, even though you can't actually rebuttal a thing I say worth a fuck. Because the fact that Gage's choice of clothing shows he clearly does not know how to take care of himself. He also does not know how to admit when he is wrong. Look in the mirror, please. Person who dresses in fucking homeless clothing that he seems like he's scavenged out of a trash can when he looks like he's going full on anorexic to lose weight, living waist deep in takeout boxes. The world knows that he is wrong, and I know that he is wrong. The LGBT+ community knows that Gage is wrong. Yet, the only person who believes he is right is Gage himself, which is why there are a lot more people that agree with me than agree with you. Seriously. Who actually agrees with you about your opinion about pedophilia and rape? Who actually agrees with you? That's not a fucking retard scumfuck troll that does it for attention. Literally no one. Even the people who you actually had defending you, you later had to turn your back on them when you realized they were doing crazy shit in your name, and you realized how fucked up it was, until you were basically pressed to the coals to essentially disavow their behavior. That is truly a sad way to live life. Not really, because I actually see what's around me. I can objectively and critically think, and make judgment calls based upon what I feel is the most healthy and least healthy to behave and make the proper decisions. Whereas all you do is exist to be a fucking fleshlight, where all you do is exist to try to get people interested in you by catfishing them and pretending to be someone else. Where you are so deep in the hole that you can't tell what's up or what's down. It's quite simple. If you look up, that is up. If you look down, that is down. Your ability to move your head in two separate fucking directions is usually sufficient to determine what is likely to be getting you out of the hole or making it deeper. Gage is deep in it, and he keeps digging the hole in his life by making pathetic and lame excuses for hating humanity. Yeah, like anyone that disagrees with you is automatically hating humanity. Fuck off and die. He's been doing this his whole life, all his life, and I feel sorry for the fool. You don't know me outside of the internet. You literally know nothing at all about me except a handful of my opinions and a handful of my life experiences. and you've used less than maybe like 10, maybe 12 facts about me as a person, and you've more or less decided my entire character for me. You've essentially decided that I am a horrible piece of shit murderer that's not worthy of redemption because I do things that you personally either don't understand or don't agree with. You're being the same kind of dumbass fundamentalist you bitch about religion-wise, except you're doing it over a person's individual choices in life that you yourself have no right to talk about because you have no fucking clue about anything anyone else has ever experienced because you're a fucking pussy that has never had to deal with anything that's remotely negative unless it's shit you brought upon your fucking self. I pity the fool who wastes their lives hurting others and then lies about it like Gage does. Well, I hurt your fucking feelings. Grow the fuck up. Grow up. No one gives a fuck. You think anyone gives two shits about the feelings of some little freak like you who runs around crying about bullshit to try to vilify and get people murdered? Fuck off. Piss off and die. A Jimmy Swaggart wannabe. Gage lies through his teeth and out his bum. This is coming from the retard that has his head up his own ass every day. Another thing, stop trying to culturally appropriate UK dialect. You're not fooling anyone into thinking that you're some sort of special person when you do this shit. You don't come off as interesting or intellectual when you start appropriating a dialect you don't actually use at all. You come off like a pretentious fuck who thinks he's being interesting, but you really just come off as some condescending wannabe dipshit who begs for attention by being an antagonistic ass. All to get you to sell your soul to the devil alongside them. I'm not asking anyone to sell anything to anyone. I'm not asking anyone to agree with me, or agree with everything I say and do. I'm simply saying that I have the right to disagree with you, and if you don't like that, just kill yourself and call it even. They make money off of your suffering, and build cities and nations on the bones of your dead loved ones. Okay, who the fuck are you talking about? Since when does an online disagreement mean all of this shit? Spoiler alert, it doesn't. You're literally making up false equivalencies because you're so fucking retarded you need to act like you have some kind of valid argument against anyone.
Try me.
You're dumb. Like, genuinely fucking dumb. This is what conservatives like Gage does. Excellent grammar, retard. And no, it's not, because I'm not a conservative. And honestly, I don't really like war. It's kind of a fucked up thing that we more or less unfortunately have to deal with as a society, though. Because there's always someone that wants more of the pie than they realistically truly need to keep going. Because they'd rather fight to the death over which god is right, over which fucking policies are right, instead of trying to negotiate and simply agree to disagree. For Gage victimized me for 2 long years for nothing more than myself, calling him out his bullying and harassment of innocent people in the LGBT community for being intelligent and Asian. No, it was the fact that I criticized AMOCE. You got a sore ass over it because you needed to be his white knight fucking mommy battle maiden who needed to run to his aid and scream and cry about dumb fucking bullshit. And then you kept trying to act like people criticizing you for having dumbass ignorant views that don't actually apply to anything in the real world was the same thing as someone being a mindless fucking neo-Nazi. It's not. You're just a fucking moron that doesn't know how to argue or debate anything, so you run and scream pejoratives and bullshit buzzwords hoping people will show up and lynch the motherfucker that you're crying about. It's what people like you do. You're not an activist. You're not some hero of the people that's speaking out against actual injustices. You're just a crybaby asshole who acts like anything that you face that's even remotely inconvenient for your narrative is automatically the work of the fucking devil, because you've decided it to be so. And yet at the same time, you bitch about religious fundamentalists when you're acting the same fucking way about your dogmatic bullshit. AMOCE was victimized by Gage and his cult for being Asian and for proving them wrong in their ideology about humanity is too retarded to have sex. No, it's about the fact that people don't agree with the concept of grown adults, or anyone fucking children, for that matter. And you started crying about it, and you start intentionally forgetting the part that people mention children. Not humanity, children. There's a fucking difference between every person alive, and then there's someone in grade school that you're trying to convince them to fuck an adult, piss off and die. Has nothing at all to do with AMOCE being Asian. It has to do with the fact that his views were genuinely fucking abhorrent. Seriously, just die. There is so much hatred in the heart of Gage, transgender hater who states you're not transgender. It's just you. No, what I said was that other transgender people are not being targeted by anyone. It's just you being ridiculed for having fucked up opinions. And then, for some reason, it's like you cut out half my fucking statement because you can't justify yourself unless you lie by omission because you're a douche. And denies humanity the right to be transgender like myself. Clearly, he still thinks that his response video somehow justifies evil works. No, it's more like I have the right to disagree with you. Here's the thing. I don't have to treat you nicely if you treat me like shit. I don't have to go along with whatever dumb bullshit you seemingly make up every other week to make yourself feel like you're somehow a protected class just because you're hurt in the ass. I don't. You acted like an asshole to a bunch of people for no real fucking reason except for the fact they don't agree with you. And then you keep trying to act like you being a crybaby bitch about everything is the same thing as people showing up at your house and picketing your home and harassing you in your real life. It's not. You're just a whiny prick. That just, by Gage describing his views on my book, somehow makes him innocent of his crimes against humanity. Oh, shut the fuck up. I didn't commit a holocaust. It's not a crime against humanity to say that you're a shitty writer who types libelistic bullshit essays. That's a fact. There's no bullshit about that that's incorrect, because literally everything I said just now has been true. Piss off. If all you do is cry about fucking nothing, then guess what? It's not a crime against humanity. Your personal fucking butthurt feelings don't determine the feelings and well-being of every other person alive. You're not some sort of hive mind that speaks for every living being just because you've decided so. You're a crazy motherfucker and you need to be incarcerated in a psych ward. Sadly for him, none of those notions are true. I never said they were. I am transgender woman, male to female. No one gives two fucks. So even if he is just insulting and hating me, I don't hate you, I just think you're an asshole and I don't much fucking like you. There's a difference between me actively saying I would kill you and meaning it, and then there's me simply saying I hope you walk in front of a train. Because I realize that once your life is over, your suffering will be over, and those you fucked with will no longer have to worry about you doing something fucked up that'll cut home and fuck their life up. Which is still wrong, and because he has no right to do so in the first place, how about you shut the fuck up, okay? Shut the fuck up. A person has the right to disagree with you and dislike you if you act like an asshole. You don't have the right to tell them what they can and can't feel about things just because you personally don't like the way they're going to respond to you. If you don't like being ridiculed and lambasted, then don't be a fucking dick. It's not that hard. It really isn't that difficult to just not be an asshole. I don't know why that is that you treat it like it's a Herculean task to just look at yourself and think, maybe I should not be a dick. He is still insulting and hating transgender people because I am transgender. No, because people implies that I'm hating an entire group of people, whereas a person is referring to a singular entity. If I dislike you, it is a singular entity, not a dozen or so. Piss off. So the logic of Henry defeats the delusions and foundations of Gage insanity. It's not the logic of humanity, it's literally just you being a fucking retard moving goalposts just so you can be right because you act like a retarded little kid. Because Gage's lifestyle foundation is corrupted at best, and the building that he built it on, nope. It was on it, because you can't formulate a fucking sentence to save your life. The building that how he lives his life will collapse at any moment, meaning destruction coming to the life of Gage, aka karma, because of all the people who he has hurt, investigated, and instigated trouble with. Translation: I deserve to suffer financial ruin, social ruin, and professional disaster, because I said things about you on the internet that hurt your fucking feelings. Just say it. You want other people to suffer because it's inconvenient for you to have to look at yourself in the mirror and question if you're being an asshole. Just say it. Just fucking say it out loud. Like, don't dance around it. Don't make fucking allusions to it. Just admit it. You want other people's lives to be ruined because you get easily butthurt, triggered, and offended the moment someone looks at you and says, yeah, you're full of shit. However, with myself, my foundation lifestyle is sturdy and secure. You're the least sturdy and most insecure motherfucker I've ever seen, and that goes through like years and years of seeing a bunch of different assholes, both in my personal life, in my acquaintanceships, and even in my online interactions. You're like one of the least secure motherfuckers in the room. the building I built on it. Can you do everyone a favor and learn how to formulate a grammatical proper sentence, dipshit? The building, meaning how I live my life, will last for many generations. No, it fucking won't, because no one in the world is going to want to have your children. No one in the world is going to want to have any kids at all with you, knowing the fact that you have really fucked up pedophilia views. Meaning that Gage's success will falter and fail, but where he fails, I will succeed, and his spoils will be mine as compensation for my suffering. What exactly would you define as compensation? What, do you expect the YouTube channel to be gone and then next thing you know hundreds of dollars will just rain from the skies to solve your problems temporarily? That wouldn't happen. You're like, let's play pretend for a minute. Let's pretend for whatever reason you suddenly decided to get it in your dumbass fucking head to try to take me to court. Just play for the sake of argument. Imagine, for example, you were a little retarded ass tried to take me to court. You know what would happen? Nothing. You'd take me to court, people would look at the books you wrote, look at all the horrible shit you say, and all the crazy nonsense you've ever made up. People would look at you and say, yeah, fuck you don't have a case, get lost. That'll be exactly where it would go. Literally nothing would occur to you except paying court costs and both of us being told to get fucked. Except only one of us actually will. The other will just have to sit there and use their hand to jerk off feverishly to the thought of touching their saggy man tits. That they ripped off a dead hooker. Same goes for the victims of Gage. Not really, because realistically, what are they going to get out of being called a dipshit on the internet? They're going to cry about it for 6 days and then have nothing at all happen afterwards? Because that's usually what happens on the internet. Grow up. The voices of the victims are loud and strong against Gage. You mean all what? All the people that you dealt with who also were lambasted by me, which then just kind of fucked off and faded into obscurity after several months because no one gave a shit anymore? You'd figure if these people were so monumentally affected by my actions, there'd be a lot more to say about it than just a handful of butthurt comments. He has only himself to blame for his downfall. You act like anyone at all criticizing you is the same thing as someone doing a bunch of horrible war crimes that will guarantee some sort of Nuremberg trial-level outcome. Piss off. There's only so much that I can do to help him before even I myself run out of resources. You're not really trying to help anyone, though, because you basically act like an asshole and piss people off and call them fucking stupid and basically accuse them of being a bunch of really horrendous things. And then you just simply say, well, the fact that I accuse you of these things means that I'm right, therefore you must change your ways to not be this way anymore. So basically you're just saying that I need to change just because I need to change. There's no real actual ability to determine whether or not my actions are actually detrimental to those around me, because you don't know anyone around me. And yet you're trying to tell me how I should behave and how I should think and how I should feel about things that you fucking do towards me. That's not going to make anyone like you. That's not going to build rapport and relatability with the person you're trying to level with. Because all you're doing is pissing that person off and saying, fuck you, you have to deal with it. No one's going to fall in line with that shit. These books, documents, excellent grammar, fucking retard, the Francis Swagger attitude that exists within Gage's soul. Not really. It's more like, you're an asshole, I don't have to like you, go fuck yourself, and that's about it. That, quote, I'm better than humanity and you're all going to upset my cult and me mentality is well known in conservative circles. It's not everyone going to hell or any stupid bullshit like that. It's more like, if you do horrendous things to other people, especially children, you deserve whatever you get. Because you're hurting someone else in a way that they may never be able to recover from. You may destroy a person's entire life by doing what you want to do to them that way. And you don't care about how they feel about it or the outcome because you've personally decided that their feelings on the matter are irrelevant. And yet, for some reason, when someone treats you the same way that you want other people to be allowed to treat children, you get all offended and cry about it. But the difference is, my actions are just words. The things you advocate for are physical actions that occur outside of the internet that have nothing to do with microphones and cameras more often than not, but they do severe damage to the way the person will forever feel about themselves later. And before you say, well, you're bullying me and it hurts my self-esteem, you hurt your self-esteem because you go out of your way to be an asshole to people and people don't agree with you, and then you go out of your way to... You find out that everyone thinks you're full of shit except you, and then that's what affects you, is the fact that you realize that no one agrees with you. And instead of asking why, you act like everyone's just an asshole for not agreeing with you. and then for some reason you keep trying to make it everyone else's. Like, I don't know why you keep doing this shit where it's like, everyone else is just an asshole because they don't agree with me. People don't agree with you because you're a dumb fucking dick that doesn't understand shit that he talks about and then chooses to act like he's an authority on everything anyway. And then for some reason at the end of the day, you want to be the guy that screams the loudest when he has the least important shit to say out of everyone in the fucking room. And then you try your hardest to make it everyone else's issue that you're a dick that can't handle anything else that happens around him. The same circles that Gage is a part of. Not really religious or conservative, you're just a dipshit that doesn't know how to handle anything. Why he chose this hateful, pointless lifestyle is unclear. Well, it's quite simple. I didn't choose a lifestyle. I just don't agree with you. However, research has shown that people like Gage have a mental imbalance. You're the most mentally imbalanced motherfucker in the room because you literally go from hating someone to wanting them to hate fuck you in the same paragraph. It's like having a bipolar yandere that's obsessed with always being right even if they know that they can never be right. Meaning that Gage does not think before he speaks. I'm thinking right now before I'm speaking and I think you're a fucking nut. Nor does he care about the negative consequences of his actions. There's a difference between doing something in the physical world that can impact other people for the rest of their lives and not caring about the outcome. And then there's me simply saying, your opinions are a load of horse shit, and I have the right to simply say that. And then you say, well, you're gonna get arrested now. My fake police force is gonna come get you and throw you in a gulag. Maybe you'll learn then. And then for some reason you're trying to act like that's a normal and justified response to someone saying that you're full of shit. Piss off. Like when Gage called writers autistic slanderers for being liberals. No, I call you an autistic slanderer because autistic is an internet colloquialism meaning next level fucking stupid. And I call you a slanderer because you just make shit up all the time. Someone says like one word that you don't like and that automatically determines their entire attitude towards every one of that particular subsect of people, regardless of who it's directed at or why. Seriously, if you see a gay person call another gay person a poof, a twink, or a faggot, are you going to say that gay person no longer likes dick? Just because they call someone else a faggot? Do you know how retarded that is? Or when he calls gay people, quote, faggots. Faggot misspelled. And no, I don't call gay people faggots, because not everyone I call no one I call a faggot has actually been gay to my fucking knowledge. Like, the only person that's ever been called a faggot that's gay in my presence was Steve, and he called himself that. Piss off. Then make lame excuses as to why people should support his homophobia. It's not homophobia just because you personally decide that someone hates gay people because they don't agree with your retarded ass, because your sexual orientation seems to change by the day. Or his hatred for Black Lives Matter, and his belief that injustice, aka the death of innocent people, is justified at the end of the world events, aka the end times. No. What I said is that if there is an end of the world level scenario, people that are sex offenders are probably going to be hunted down and killed by the general public because people will just say, fuck it, if we're all going, might as well take out the trash before we do. Of course, we could actually look at the video had some asshole not flagged my channel into oblivion the first time around. Eat shit. It's weird that you wrote these, and then you basically have them to lean back on after all the evidence is gone. Why Gage wants the end of the world so bad is because of the fact that his life is mediocre at best. No, it's more or less that I make fucking jokes about how the world is kind of fucked, and that it's kind of a fucking black hole of misery at times. Not all the time, but there are definitely days where it's like, wow, fuck all this. Look at his hair, look at his clothes, and look at his attitude towards life. I have an attitude towards life like whatever will be, but I should still do the best I can to make it nice. He has no loving relationship with anyone, although Gage constantly lies about his make-believe relationship, quote relationship in quotation marks, because apparently he's so retarded that he thinks it's hard to believe that a person with Kate last name redacted him is scaled, which is proven in the number wank code to be a bunch of hogwash because the DC2 investigation showed evidence of verbal abuse. Yeah, you heard, like, the tail end of an argument that had been going on for, like, 2 hours in the background. Grow the fuck up. Like, you're acting like a couple that argues is the same thing as someone being fucking chained to a radiator and physically beaten. let me just say this. Let me say this before I continue, because I need to address this. This is fucking stupid. You don't know shit about anyone else's life outside of the internet. At all. You don't know how trying it can be to be in a relationship with someone with BPD. During some of those arguments, they get pretty verbally nasty because of her condition, where she's either up and really peppy and really bubbly, or she's like really, really agitated or really fucking irritable, or she is just like down in the dumps and just fucking miserable. You don't know what it's like to have to try to walk on that essentially walk on that Occam's razor of a fucking state, where you need to be assured that she's gonna be fine when whatever is going on is happening. I wish that you would just learn to shut the fuck up and stop talking about other people's lives, because you don't understand shit about anything. You don't know shit about anything or anyone, because you make decisions based upon an entire group of people that you don't even know, because you say things that are convenient for you to believe to make you feel like you're not a fucking loser. You have no idea how it is trying to balance out a person that's always imbalanced. Shut up. Okay? Shut the fuck up. You don't know shit about anything, and you're trying to act like you're a genius. You're not a fucking genius. You're not some psychologist. You're not some professor. You're not a fucking reporter. You're not a cop. You're just a retard on the internet that got ass hurt over a fucking argument, and then needs to make fucked up claims about other people's lives to feel like you're getting back at them, because you know if you said this shit in public, I'd fucking beat you to death. Seriously. Say this shit within striking distance. I fucking dare ya. I fucking dare you to say this shit when you're within arm's length of me. And see how many times you're gonna need to cry before you're missing half your teeth. Seriously. I have family members who've actually been through like incredibly fucked up abusive relationships. And to even dare assume that I'm the kind of person that would put them through the hurt or the kind of shit that my relatives have been through is a complete piece of shit thing to say. And I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm getting kind of fucking pissed off here, but this is retarded. Well, you're abusive. Why? Because I got into a verbal argument with someone in the background one fucking time that you've automatically decided is the entire duration of the relationship because you're completely out of your fucking mind? Seriously. Do you think you come off like some sort of fucking genius? Do you think you come off as this guy that solved everyone's problems by just bullshitting people about what you think and don't think? No. You're just another fucking retard that thinks that he can become he tries to become an armchair psychologist by bullshitting himself about what someone else says and does because you catch one isolated incident of people having an argument. Do you think you come off as a genius when you pull this shit? No, you come off like a petty bitch that knows for a fact he can't defend his opinions about anyone. So you do that kind of shit as some sort of petty retaliation. Seriously, if everything you're saying is so fucking true, then why do you need to hide it behind a paywall? Why is it that you never once try to ask anyone in her life about it at all, and instead you run away from it and deny that you fucking say it until further down the road when people are asking you about it, where you basically just make a bunch of half-ass excuses for doing so? Seriously. Do you think you come off as wise when you do that? No, you come off like a whiny bitch that's just trying to be petty for the sake of being fucking petty. I mean, let's be honest, out of the two of us, you're probably the most abusive motherfucker out of the two of us. Because you'd be the kind of person that would constantly pressure this person into doing whatever the fuck you want, whenever the fuck you want, whatever the fuck you want. You wouldn't care about their well-being. You wouldn't care about their emotional state that they're in and whether or not they're okay. You'd be more worried about whether or not they're gonna suck your dick or whether or not they're gonna fuck you that night, because that would be all you want from this person. You're the kind of person that can't maintain healthy relationships because you think of people like an object that only exists to suit a purpose until they're no longer of use to you and then you discard them like a used bandage. And yet you're trying to make me feel like an asshole because why? You heard an argument one fucking time and you need to write that as though it's the entirety of the relationship because it needs to be for you to feel like you're not lying? Fuck off. His family is afraid of him. No, they're not. You're acting like because my family doesn't all live in one room like yours used to, that it's the same thing as my family living in fear of me. No. He doesn't know what love is. Neither do you. You can't even feel it realistically or express it because you view everyone as a fleshlight. And he doesn't care to learn what love is. Translation, I don't love you. And it hurts your fucking fifis that I'm not some hippy-dippy-doo pussy who thinks that if you all hold hands and sing Kumbaya, that all the world's problems will be fucking solved if you just ignore them. It's not my fault you have this fucked up 1970s idea of a flower child, and then you think that trying to fuse that with like politics and religion is somehow a way to actually look at the world in a realistic manner, because it's not. All Gage want is resent of the world for not being conservative like him. That's literally all you want, dude. You want everyone around you that disagrees with you to suffer some sort of horrendous consequence because they don't see your views as realistic or healthy. Which doesn't hurt me any, because Gage is the one who is suffering the consequences, like all of his misdeeds being exposed, his reputation ruined, and many of his videos deleted. Again, my reputation wasn't ruined. You basically just make a series of fucked up accusations in hopes that those accusations will just be able enough to like take out my fucking knees out from under me. And my videos weren't deleted because some sort of magical arbitrary authority figure in the sky or on YouTube miraculously just, like, they didn't just decide that, oh, you're bad, so we're gonna get rid of this. No, it's like that you used a broken fucking system that is well known to be ripe for abuse to remove someone's channel and account because they threatened your ideas. That's all it was. YouTube didn't make some grand ethical or moral judgment. It was basically just someone taking advantage of the broken-ass reporting system to get someone removed. Why is it that when we reported one video of yours for breaking the TOS regarding nudity and sexually explicit content, you cry about it for years and act like everyone was just censoring you because you were different from them? No. You literally broke a rule that was like one of the hardcore ironed out rules about content that's legally allowed to be posted on YouTube or allowed via the terms of service. And you broke that fucking rule. And that's why you suffered that termination initially. As opposed to you, where I read what you wrote and said, yeah, this is a bunch of fucking garbage, and I don't think it's worth the paper it's printed on. Well, you don't like what I wrote because it's garbage. Well, you stole it. Well. No, I literally read it to share my opinion of it. I'm being constructive and derivative. The only reason I'm not being constructive is because this whole thing is basically written to be an essay that's meant to be a middle finger in my direction because you're a fucking pussy. And not even the good kind. Not even the nice kind. More like the disgusting, overused, loose kind that you can stick a bowling ball in because it's literally been fucking itself since it could walk. Literally and metaphorically, I assume. I can't, like, honestly, the day you end up dead is the day a lot of people can rest easy. Gage has brought nothing but a curse on himself and his family. How? How is me calling you stupid on the internet gonna result in anything but you just crying about nothing? Realistically, anyone that would have taken your side realizes that you're fucking crazy and stays away from you. Yet Gage still doesn't see the evidence all around him because he is blinded by the false hope that he will win a failing war that has already been won by the liberals and the left. It's not a matter of being left-wing. It's about the fact that you're an asshole that says genuinely abhorrent shit to people about rape and stuff, and then you go out of your way to say that other people are assholes for saying, yeah, that's kind of fucked up, I'd prefer you not say that to me again. Well, I'm right. No, you're not. Yeah, I am. No, you're not. And here's why you're not. As they list out like ABC reasons as to why you're not right. And instead of someone saying, holy shit, maybe you're right. Maybe my views are kind of fucked up. Instead of that, it's like, no, you're a bigot, bullying, Nazi, conservative, Christian, religious fundamentalist. Ree! And that's literally all you do. You don't say shit that's actually meaningful to anyone. Your only rebuttal to anything is just to cry racist and transphobe because you're a dumbass. You're so fundamentally incapable of self-awareness that nothing you say is worth listening to, because it's just a bunch of horse shit you make up every other day. Capitalism has failed. Not really, because if it's failed, then the economy would have completely crashed. We would have had a second Great Depression if that was true. Socialism is beneficial to humanity. Deal with it. How about you deal with a bullet to the brain? And you're not gonna pull some Yujiro Hama shit where your brain just moves to the side and dodges the bullet. You'll just get your head blown off. Yeah, Gage somehow has a problem with change and holds on to the past that no longer exists. Excellent grammar. It exists, not exist. You illiterate sped monkey. And no, I'm not holding on to a past that doesn't exist. I'm simply disagreeing with the concept of everyone needing to be broke just so you're not broke by yourself. Gage's failure stems from his lack of knowledge on how to stop living in the past. Start living in the 21st century. You don't really live in the 21st century yourself, because you still seem to think that we're living in 1980s USA or 1950s USA, where people are being racist and bigoted everywhere you go, instead of in very, very small pockets of the US, for example. His outdated beliefs are dated as far back as 13th and 14th and early 14th century. Is a contradiction, turn the page, to modern progress, so nobody on this planet, is the problem except for Gage and his beliefs. Okay, so you're saying that serial killers, mass murderers, terrorists, literal, actual neo-Nazis that you can actually confirm genuinely have those views, rapists, pedophiles, child molesters, animal fuckers, people who rape their siblings and elderly parents, for example. These people are not the problem, but I am because I call you a retarded faggot on the internet. You're so fucking stupid. Like, how does it feel to have your brain be so incredibly fucking broken that the only way you can justify crying about nothing is just to ignore all the horrible people that do far worse shit because someone called you a mean name on YouTube? Grow the fuck up, you whiny cunt. Seriously. There are people who have suffered a lot worse than you have and a lot worse than I have, and for some fucking reason you try to act like your life is this horrible fucking hellish soap opera. It is because you've made it so. You're the one that needed to make himself a walking, talking circus for everyone to point and fucking laugh at. But you're so damn dumb you don't seem to get that you're more or less creating a hell of your own design. By just being a fucking victim. Intentionally. That's all you are. You're literally the perfect example of what a victim cult looks like. Because you exist to be a perpetual victim and do nothing but that. Chapter 3, Gage keeps harassing me. It's not really harassment if you act like a dick and people tell you to fuck off, and instead of simply saying, maybe you're right, I'm being a fucking jackass, and by constantly perpetuating it, you instead that you want to be up everyone's ass screaming at nothing like a dipshit because you think you're right by just being a dumbass. Gage harassment is nothing new. It's not really harassment if you put something out for public consumption and someone actively steps up and says, yeah, you're full of shit. His incompetence has no bounds. You're the most incompetent motherfucker in the room because you can't even string together a fucking sentence. And it has been going on for over 2 years. Grow the fuck up. I was over Gage harassment 2 years ago. But as we all know, Gage loves attention and being noticed. No, it's more like when people ignore you, you pester them and antagonize them until they say something about you and tell you to go fuck yourself. And then you act like people just looking to you and saying, fuck off and go away, is the same thing as you being bothered by them when they're simply responding to shit you've said about them a day or two prior because they just want you to go away. Nobody has ever harassed Gage, but Gage has harassed everybody. No, you! Oh, really? Oh, I'm sorry. What, was I going to your account for months after the fact when no one said shit about you, constantly trying to dredge up your name by screeching at you? No, that was all you. I never once harassed Gage. Yeah, you did. And you still do with these retarded ass fucking books. Gage lies and said that I do. But as we all know, Gage can't ever be trusted. Translation. He's lying because I say he is, because I'm always telling the truth, even though I'm openly lying by omission 90% of this thing. But Gage has hatred for me. Being transgender told me to kill myself. You should kill yourself not because you're trans, but because you're just a genuinely abhorrent fuck-up of a human being. Cursed and swore at me and verbally abused me multiple times. I can't really verbally abuse someone because we live in the United States, which means the language laws don't govern that as abuse. It would just be being mean. It's only verbal abuse if you're actually in a romantic relationship, if you are to look at the United States' understandings of verbal abuse, as opposed to the UK's understanding of verbal abuse, where someone is screaming at someone in public that doesn't know them could be considered so. And since neither one of us occupies UK soil, that verbal abuse standard does not fucking apply, so shut the fuck up. Do you get it, dumbass? Or do I need to smack you in the head with a fucking hammer? So it is Gage who is harassing me, not the other way around. Oh, I'm sorry, was I the one that was skulking through your social media, posting images of your family members and shit around? No. It would be so easy if Gage just got up and left YouTube and fixed his life and started anew. Translation: you want me to leave YouTube because the things I say hurt your fucking feelings, and instead of being able to pull your big boy pants up and say fuck this, I'm just gonna leave and not deal with the shit anymore, you decide to cry about it and be a big asshole and make it everyone else's issue. But like anyone knows, Gage loves his getting in trouble and stirring up drama. Dude, you literally exist to be a victim of perpetual horseshit proportions because the drama that it creates is your idea of, I guess you could say it would be your opportunity to try to create a bullshit cause to stand behind just so you can get donations from gullible retards that don't understand you're just a pedophile advocate that cries on the internet for attention. No matter how many times I say, go away and leave me alone, Gage continues to pop up for no reason and make me a target of his transphobic conservatism and hate speech against myself and the LGBT plus community. No, it's more like you bitch and cry about being ridiculed. When people tell you to go fuck yourself and leave them out of your bullshit, you attack them more. When people try to ignore you and leave you to your own devices, you start dying for fucking attention. So you do shit to get under people's skin and fuck with them. And then you try to gaslight the shit out of them to make them feel like, well, you don't understand. You just don't understand what I'm doing. You don't get that I'm just trying to help you by being an asshole and antagonizing me and belittling me. Yeah, fuck off and die. It is people like Gage who keep humanity from moving forward towards a better future. No, it's people like you that do that because you exist to be a victim of every situation you involve yourself in, even if the situation is entirely your fucking fault. Future of peace and sustainability. Never. Or solving real issues that put in front of fake news agenda like Gage is pushing. Translation: I should somehow be angry about other shit because you've decided that the shit you do should not be relevant to me because you're deciding that my feelings on the matter towards what you say about me are utterly irrelevant because those things are inconvenient for you. I heard there's a nice sale on potassium cyanide tablets, so you might want to try it. It'll alleviate your headache forever. Where racism is non-existent. Excellent grammar, dumbass. It's supposed to be non-existent. You don't need to have non-existent. Non-existent is a compound word. You could have easily just typed out one of the E's and made those two words one word. Why is it that you try to act like you're some sort of talented, accredited author when you don't even know how a compound word works? And here's the thing, racism will never be non-existent as long as there's assholes like you around that will constantly use race as a way to demonize and vilify others. Let's be honest, if I was black, you'd call me the C word. You'd call me like an uncle you-know-what. You would belittle me and call me a race traitor if I was black and didn't agree with you. If I was Asian, you would accuse me of being a race traitor and call me a bunch of racial epithets for Asian people, which does not include fish. Let's be honest. If I was any other race besides Caucasian, you would attack me over it. Like the fact that I'm 12.5% Cherokee, you would attack me over that as well. You'd find a way to, well, the rest of your bloodline hates that part of your bloodline because they did this, this, and this. Like, fuck off. And where love is free to all to enjoy. Again, there's a difference between simply saying that gay people deserve rights and trans people deserve rights, for example, and then there's doing the shit you do, where you basically just say that you think it's okay for adults to fuck kids. And then you're trying to act like that's a reasonable, level-headed opinion to have in anyone's mind. Spoiler alert. 'Tis not. Where division among humanity is dead, but our equality is alive and prospering. Here's the thing, you divide humanity as well, because you start saying that anyone that's outside of that particular box you've built for them is automatically a neo-Nazi. Excuse me. And then you go out of your way to belittle them and antagonize them by saying that if they disagree with your opinion about their character, then it means they're just trying to conceal it. No, they just don't agree with you because that's not who they are. You're just an idiot. World peace is attainable. Not really. Because ever since the earliest dawn of our civilization, the moment any group is found out there's a group that's not like them, they immediately went to try to kill each other. As fucked up as it is, it's kind of how it's more or less gonna work, unfortunately, unless we figure out how to stop letting the fake things decide what's right and wrong for us. But if the conservatives like Gage is in charge, we are all good as dead. Again, disagreeing with your views on pedophilia is not going to turn into some sort of warmongering bullshit smear campaign. If Gage gets his way, then life, as we know, will cease to exist in a bad way. Okay, stop to exist in a bad way. Does that mean that life will be better, or does that mean that you yourself will be negatively impacted because you'll be arrested for saying shit that could actually paint you as a threat to the public? He will divide our families, treat humanity like animals, and bring back Nazi Germany-style treatment to the, turn the page, entire world. This is what conservatives do, and this is what they do best. You don't really know what conservatives do, though, dumbass, because you believe an entire series. You believe that conservatives are a very small group of people that were more or less seen on the news network that you favorite. And you more or less act like the people that appear on those news broadcasts are the same person everywhere at every time. And that's just not a realistic stance to have about anyone that's right-wing or even left-wing. Not every left-wing person's the same, not every right-wing person's the same, and especially when people think both sides are full of shit and I choose not to follow either one of them. And then you're still so damn dumb, you think, well, I know you don't really agree with either one of them 100%, but that means you're lying. You have to be a conservative. You just have to be. No, I don't. I don't have to be anything. I choose what I am. And I'm really getting sick and tired of being told that I must be X, Y, and Z because you've decided it for me. What the hell is the point of having free choice if someone else has decided what you are for you, even if they themselves don't even know you? Gage acts as self-destructive and self-harming. No, it's more like I just don't agree with you and you think it's self-destructive because you want to use me as a fuck toy, but I don't like you and you creep me the fuck out, so no. I also don't fuck things that look like they should be found inside of a fucking taxidermist museum. For one thing, he denies himself access to a real education. Your whole idea of a real education just means that someone agrees with everything you personally believe. Because your whole idea of an education just means that, believe me what I said, because I just told you, bro. I mean, you've openly said before that you don't use sources for the things you say. So you're basically using your own personal opinions on the matter to decide what's right and wrong. And for some reason that's supposed to be considered a non-biased, completely educated approach to things, when your opinions are the entirety of your sources and literally nothing else. That's the kind of shit that a crackhead tries to convince people to believe in. Which is mental capacity and brain functionality. Your brain doesn't function poorly just because you don't agree with the dumbass opinions of some other dipshit on the internet. Gage doesn't take care of himself, which hurts his self-esteem, which is one of the many reasons he bullies people at random for no conservative or no logical reason. No, it's not really bullying if you're an asshole and someone treats you the same way in response. It's more or less meant to be the equal or opposite reaction to your reaction. It's not a matter of having bad self-esteem, it's just the fact that you're a dick. Here's others, which puts his life in danger of attack from someone else. Okay, who the fuck is really gonna follow me down the street and assault me because I said that it's not okay to be a rapist? Only a rapist will attack someone for opposing rape. And if a rapist does that shit in public, guess what? He's gonna get lynched, regardless of what fucking side of the fence people stand on regarding politics or religion or anything like that. He believes that lying is justified, which is hurting his chances to make actual friends and his trustworthiness in turn the page outside community. It's not a community. You're just a dick that thinks everyone has to agree with you. And you wouldn't know real friends if someone actually offered you something without any sort of bullshit to be offered in return. Gage is all filled with hate, which causes stress in his body and can leave him to have a heart problem and other health complications in the near future. Now, that would be true if I was, like, just constantly doing things that would honestly damage my... Like, if I was doing things that would, like, elevate my blood pressure consistently, then you'd have a point. But you don't know anything about my family's health background, so no. Gage the ticking time bomb, and one day he will kick the butt and die for something that could easily be avoided with wisdom and knowledge and education. Okay, here's the thing, like, how would I die? Imagine I live to 85 years old, and I go to sleep and I die in my sleep. How would agreeing with your stupid bullshit somehow make me not die in my sleep at 85? It wouldn't. It would just mean that I'd be a retard that chased all of his friends and family away, drove away his would-be wife with his crazy fucking lunacy bullshit, and then died in his sleep anyway, alone. Probably with like a dozen or so cats to keep him company. Gage is destroying himself, but is too stupid and blind to see it. Translation. He says things I don't like, so he must be stupid and blind. Not me, for being the only motherfucker that says this shit and actually believes it earnestly. Gage acts like a retard. You act like a retard in far more severe ways because you're constantly saying illogical, dumb bullshit that only you think is real. And praising the LDB community in order to fuel his fix for hating said community. No, it's more like, you're an asshole. I disagree with you. And you decide that disagreeing with you on anything at all is the same thing as hating gay people because you're a dumbass. Which is a shame because the LGBT community never did anything wrong to Gage or anyone. There's a difference between saying that gay people, trans people, bi people, and lesbians should not be attacked for no reason at all, and then there's saying that you want to advocate for pedophilia, and then you keep going out of your way to say that anyone that says anything wrong against pedophiles is a homophobe, because, you know, totally not a massive homophobic thing to do in and of itself, just to equate gay people to pedophiles, because, you know, totally isn't what bigots used to do in the 1980s and all those fucking PSAs from way back in the day. Which shows that Gage should be in a mental institution instead of the general populace because he is a danger to himself and others. Dude, you're a danger to yourself because you're constantly suicidal about dumb shit, and you're a danger to others because you actually advocate for molestation and rape. Because you don't see it to be a crime, because you personally don't realize that you doing so is basically robbing someone else of their free choice. He does not understand the difference between right and wrong and will harm others when he is challenged or when someone has a different opinion than him. Supposed to be then, not then. And no, here's the thing. There's a difference between being a fucking homicidal asshole that just stabs random people whenever they say one thing you don't like kind of like the shit you'd do if you actually had the capacity to inflict violence. And then there's just somebody saying, actually, I think you're full of shit and I don't have to agree with you and fuck you for saying that. You fucking pussy. Gage is equal to the like of the Nazis who invaded Poland. Not really, because I don't have some sort of bullshit racial or political scheme or religious scheme. I just don't like it because you're a douche. Only those who are politically conservative privileged are allowed to live their lives in peace. No, it's just don't rape kids. It's not that hard just not to be a rapist. Excuse me. While everyone else deserves to die at the hands of the conservative, aka liberal holocaust. If every liberal was like you, then yeah, but not every liberal is like you. In fact, very few of them actually are, because most of them have the common sense to say, yeah, fuck you for this shit. Like the KKK making black people. No, because I don't like you because you advocate for race. That has nothing at all to do with race and everything to do with the horrible fucking things that your views could mean to others if they were actually brought into practice in society. Like, I'll tell you what. What if someone made rape legal for 10 hours and someone just ran up behind you, knocked you unconscious, and stuffed a tire iron up your ass? Then what? Then what? Imagine, for example, you wake up and you realize that you're bleeding out of your rectum, and then you have to run to the hospital and get your ass sewn back up because someone just sodomized you with a sharp object, and you're basically dealing with extreme rectal pain because someone has just assaulted you in one of the worst ways a person can ever go through it. Would it suddenly not matter still, or would it matter only because it's happened to you? Seriously. How do you define what's bad and what's good if you personally don't give a shit? Gage made excuse for any LGBT community, Muslims, Asian, black people, etc. I don't hate anyone that's black, Asian, or Muslim. I just don't agree with Islam. I don't agree with the concept of being a perpetual victim that goes around burning shit down and terrorizing other people and making it harder for your own community to get a leg up because you burn down your own homes and businesses. That has nothing at all to do with being hateful towards people that are black. Shut up. Seriously, either say it or don't say it. Either come right out and fucking say it, or don't. Cite an actual fucking example where I've attacked the black community specifically because of their race, and said some genuinely ignorant racist bullshit. And I don't mean during some bullshit edgy polititard phase from 2017. I mean some current shit that you can actually say I've actually said and entirely meant, instead of being a half-hearted joke. Can't do it, can ya? It's almost like you have nothing and you fucking know it. Show just where Gage priorities lie. Excellent grammar check, you illiterate fuckboy. One of those lame-ass just say no PSAs, except instead of trying to warn you about the dangers of drugs and peer pressure, it's basically just, don't think critically and challenge my narrative, or you'll be brainwashed. As I said, keep the fucking moral here. If you can even qualify it as moral. There is so much to gain from intelligence and a good education. There is, but you possess neither, because your arguments are essentially that of a retarded child. The sky's the limit when you have wisdom and a sound mind. Again, your mind isn't sound because your mind is literally full of conflicts that you constantly instigate with others that cause you difficulties and anxieties that you refuse to try to address like a normal functioning person. Those with wisdom live much better lives than, instead of then, good job, dumbass, the foolish ones. Your whole idea of someone being foolish is that when someone does something shitty to them, they respond negatively, whereas they don't do the shit you do, where they act like a whiny pussy and cry about it, and then passive-aggressively talk shit about the person behind their back later, behind a paywall. I mean, seriously, the only difference between my way of dealing with people that I don't like and don't agree with, and your way, is that I will openly say why I don't agree with them, and openly tell them if their behavior is shitty, whereas you'll make up excuses as to why your behavior is not your fault and then fucking cry about it so the other person looks like a unfeeling sociopathic asshole when you're the one trying to exploit the public's unaware nature of the situation. But remember, you're totally not a fucked up person when you try to exploit other people's ignorance just so you're portrayed as the victim in hopes that you'll make some sort of profit, whether it be emotionally or financially, as a result of being a retard. We are all created equal. Well, we should all be treated equally, and we should all have equal rights. But not everyone is going to have the same psychological, emotional, mental, and physical aptitudes of every other person. There are some people, for example, who have genes that make them more predisposed to putting on fat easier than other people. I'm on the taller and skinnier side of things because a lot of my genetics more or less predispose me to being tall and skinny. And there are people in my family who are short and chubby. Like, a lot of it is entirely depends on genes. And because of that, we look different in our genes. We'll still be treated with the same level of fairness, but we are not made equally in that regard if our genes are determining a lot of our physical attributes. Let's see, but foolishness is the destruction of nature. It's not foolishness, it's rage, corruption, and apathy. It's a big difference between just being an idiot that doesn't know any better, and then just being someone who makes the active choice to do things that destroy the nation. It was not surprising to see that even like gays, who are ruining democracy, free will, and equality, all from an ideological narrative that does not exist, or is corrupt if it is or exists. Again, you literally just said you literally just said that people are ruining the world because they don't agree with me. Just say it. Like, just say it in like a straightforward manner. Like, don't dance around it. Don't have to dance around what it actually means. Don't make up 45 alternate definitions for the same statement. Just say what you mean and mean what you say. Instead of saying something that means nothing to anyone, unless they run around in a circle to get back at point B. The era of gauge lifestyle. Excellent grammar, dumbass. Learn how to use a possessive noun, you illiterate sped. Choice is dramatic, but it is all connected to Gage foolishness, which stems from his lack of knowledge, which is a curse to his very existence, which all started because Gage is too stubborn to get an education. Again, Just say you want me to agree with you, and because I don't agree with you, you think that I'm subhuman or I'm some sort of mindless seething ball of rage that possesses no other feelings but rage, because you've decided that for me. You've essentially just decided that my disagreement with you must automatically be portrayed as me being less than human because I ridicule your dumbass fucking opinions. Nowhere in the tragic lineup of events, it's not tragic, it's literally just you being an idiot for attention, getting your ass reamed for it. But does that have to do with things that are my doing? Yeah, it does, because when you go out of your way to constantly make a pain in the ass of yourself to literally every motherfucker you run across, because you want to always be right, even though you don't know shit about anything in the world that you talk about, then you come out with the whiny douche, it is your duty, and you're being a condescending prick, but no reason to the fact that you believe you need to be right, otherwise you're gonna look like a jackass, and you're gonna cry about it, and then say that's other people's fault that you made a fool of yourself. Seriously, if I wanted to make a fool of you, I wouldn't even need to say anything. Just let you say all your dumbass fucking bullshit in front of other people, and let them all look at you like you're fucking nuts. That's really all I would need to do to really hurt you. Otherwise, nothing would fucking matter. Gage, make the choice to be foolish. Excellent grammar, you dumb fuck. Gage made the choice to bully others. It's not bullying if someone says something fucked up to you and you call them an asshole for behaving shitty about fundamentally nothing. Gage made the choice without a devil into his life. There's no such thing as the devil. The devil is literally a visual metaphor and personification of the darker sides of our personal nature as a species. Let's be honest. You don't need to blame a lot of the evils and ills the human beings commit upon each other to some fake fucking being that lives in some big fiery pit beneath the Earth's surface. Because a lot of it is just stemmed from simple human greed and simple human apathy to the suffering of others. Let's be honest. A lot of the shit people try to blame on the devil is usually just caused by a mental illness and someone just being a fucked up asshole who gets off on making other people suffer because they find it funny and take from others so they don't have it themselves. The same kind of shit humans do who actually possess the physical ability to actually act violently towards people. Let's be honest, if you actually did live in a world like back in the early 14th and 15th century where you could just run around and start fucking attacking villages and killing people, you'd do it just because you would realize the only way to get any sort of interaction with other people, the only way you're gonna get any sort of sexual conquest is if you were just a rapist and pillager who went from village to village trying to assault the sick, the weak, and the old. The only problem is you try to do it by yourself by running at them on foot, screaming at people with your fucked up legs, and then all the men in that village would basically take turns beating you almost to death and then leave you in the woods with a deadly infection that would kill you because antibiotics didn't exist yet in the 15th century. That's exactly how it would fucking turn out. The best thing for Gage to do is dedicate his life to internal change and free his mind of malicious thoughts, ideas, and suggestions. Your whole idea of a malicious thought is literally anything that you decide is not nice to you. A person doesn't have to be nice to you if you're like a complete dick to them. Here's the thing, people may be willing to turn the other cheek to a point, but all you do is act like a dick and antagonize them, they're not going to want to put up with it indefinitely. And you have the right to try to force them to do it, and they are not obligated to simply sit there and take whatever bullshit you push their way. He's replacing hypocrisy with and a false ideology with the truth, aka an education. You need to replace your head with a hot lead injection from a 22 right between the eyes. Of course, Gage thinks that getting an education is a formal page. Let me find my cursor. Of brainwashing by the liberal left. No, I mean that when you try to make other people subvert their entire mentality into a series of beliefs that you have more or less chosen for them, so that they will be entirely complicit with everything you believe in and nothing else. That's the definition of brainwashing. Washing is when you literally tell people a bunch of predisposed ideas, not because these ideas are true, not because these ideas are beneficial, not because it's teaching them how to be a productive member of society, but because you're just trying to convince them that if they don't fall in line, they're going to suffer in some way. The only difference between what you do and what religions do is that they will try to threaten you with the concept of burning forever, as was Christianity, for example, whereas you try to threaten people into, like, basically going into a complete and utter oblivion or non-existence, basically sitting in cosmic timeout, and then being released from it only when your whatever bullshit god you made up decides that they are thereby absolved of their actions. just for them to later be tossed back into whatever they inconvenience so much even a little. Which is interesting contradictory to the truth, because Gage and the BT2 cause that wants to do the brainwash of those not mentally strong enough to denounce Gage, stay a little bit down, just as the price of getting access to your dying. Again, putting things out for public consumption is not the same thing as walking up the stone with a fucking ball and digging and just cutting through the top of someone's skull and then scooping their brain out and filling their head with bullshit like a deli donut with a fucking frosting bag. It seems more like you're mad that no one agrees with you, so you say it's brainwashing because the thought that someone would challenge your ideas pisses you off. But instead of just simply saying that you're frustrated that no one agrees with you, you act like it's a cult because it's the only way you cope your way out of feeling shit and being an idiot. Mine is a terrible thing to waste. You say that, but you do it all the time. So no way to engage, or anybody says to you, why are people not allowed to like what they like? There's a difference, for example, between people liking the shit you talk about, where you advocate for rape and shit, and then there's somebody saying, I might not necessarily agree with every one of his stances. For example, I might not agree with his stance on guns, or his stance on absolutism when it comes to free speech, for example, but I understand why it is he would hold these opinions. Like, people can't even agree to disagree, because if they agree to disagree, you call that complicity with my views. And then you're gonna freak out and fucking cry, and then try to make it everyone else's problem that anyone at all so much just looks at you and questions the dumb shit you do. If you know what's best for you. Oh, here we go, the appeal to authority. If you are intelligent, then you would know what's best for your well-being. Stay away from Gage. If you are subscribed to his channel, Gage the Doom Guy, Channel Scream Guy, or both, unsubscribe now! Yeah, unsubscribe from this person that he doesn't like, because remember, if you like anyone at all being critical of some dumb fucking moron who screams and cries about dumb fucking nonsense constantly, it's the same thing as being brainwashed, like in some sort of fucking death camp. Seriously. Like, the kind of shit you're doing right now, this is the exact definition of gaslighting, manipulation, and attempted indoctrination. Because you're trying to pull the appeal to emotion and the appeal to authority, by basically suggesting that a person needs to no longer support or subscribe to someone because they hurt your feelings. And the person hurting your feelings means they automatically are responsible for the feelings of many other people whose identities and existence you can't even confirm because you've more or less just made the conclusion that hundreds of other people must be into the dead because you kill yourself every time you get supposed to be killing yourself every time someone just looks at you funny. Whoever subscribed to Gage's channel, you are supporting DT2, who believes in the person is beneficial to those who day the DT2 does not die. Why would anyone think a person is beneficial to the people they don't like? In fact, a person is usually done to people because they don't like them because it's used to be negative instead of beneficial to dumbasses. You think it's not oppression to say don't rape children. It's more or less like a basic standard of living in a fucking polite society. They believe that individuality should be a crime, and we human beings should be forced to all be the same. No, that's literally you, because you're trying to convince people that everyone that you don't like is a Nazi. And then for some reason you don't understand the irony of accusing people of believing the type of shit that I just read, as well you're also doing the same shit right in front of everyone. You want the pyramid of the human race, and also create a superior race, aka a universal white race. When was this ever even said, even as a joke? Seriously, actually pull a quote. Like, quote me verbatim when this was ever fucking said. Because for the life of me, I can't recall saying anything of that sort. If you are their slaves, they will exempt you from their torment. But they will want to bring back segregation in our society. No, it's more like people don't agree with people raping children. They try to act like that's the same thing as racial discrimination. They are not the same. It's obvious why they're not the same. And the fact that people keep trying to paint them as the same is kind of fucking stupid. Because it shows that you can't even be honest for a moment. If you like this guy's videos, then unlike them. How about you eat a dick? Seriously, like, why does a person have to unlike videos just because you don't like what this person says? By liking his videos, you're at the party. Bullying. harassment, offending people, racism, persecution of those who are different, slander, etc. because this is what Gage believes in and supports. No, it's more like someone criticizes you, and you act like people being able to understand the vindication of someone's motives while ridiculing your sorry ass. And you act like someone so much as looking at you the wrong way should automatically be treated as an international hate crime because you're a whiny cunt who thinks that everyone in the world must be okay with your shitty actions, otherwise they're a bigot. This is why people like you are really shitty for the trans community, because you basically just exist to be a fucking identity politics crisis for people that actually have to go through legitimate bigotry on account of people being trans. Like, people like you are the reason that a lot of other trans people, for example, will have difficulty finding acceptance and kindness in public because people like you exist to be a case study for genuine trans folks who see people like you as a figurehead for everything they feel the movement really is. If you want to comment on this video, it's fine, but don't be a yes man or a sellout. Translation, don't agree with me, even if you do. Like, don't agree with me on anything I say, even if what I say makes sense to you. Yeah, like, how dare you? Like, how dare these people not just fall in line with your retarded ass views and start dropping to the ground and suck your dick every single time someone says something even remotely offensive to you, but you're allowed to be as offensive against others. Don't engage out for a crab and stand firm on your values for the human rights of others. Again, the values that a lot of people that watch my videos would openly oppose your values because you don't have values. You don't have any concept of right or wrong. You don't have any concept of ethics or morality because you don't believe in morals. You don't believe in a polite society. You believe in a society where people just run around and rape and rape and rape and rape and do whatever the fuck they want and do whatever they want regardless of the consequences of people involved. And then at the same time you want to constantly bitch and cry and like the people about you and speak words about you. Piss the fuck off. Very things that gay. When Gage is jealous of my genius and my intelligence. You're not a genius, you're not intelligent. Any idiot in the room can spit a bunch of bullshit out onto a piece of paper. It's just that most people choose not to because they look stupid. One of my personal heroes, the late Abraham Lincoln, said this. It's one thing to be thought an idiot. It's another thing, however, to open your mouth and remove all doubt. And that's literally what you do in these fucking books. You give people nothing but reason to call you a fucking dipshit because you say dumb nonsense that no one ever fucking said, just to make arguments against things that no one ever proposed. Just so you can then scream and cry and say that they're saying things that they never said that you said they said. If that makes any sense to the people at home. This is the case because he wouldn't be insulting my intelligence and instead we would join forces. Why would I work alongside anyone that goes out of their way to advocate for rape? Me mocking you has nothing at all to do with envy and everything to do with the fact that you're just a genuinely awful fucking person in the better good of the world. How would any of your actions benefit the world at large? Because genuinely every action you do is designed to vilify others and victimize yourself, just so that you can then demand people money on YouTube. Give me money so I can cry about being a victim. Give me money, give me money, give me money. That's literally all this whole that's all this shit ever was. There are two things that it is. It's you trying to basically profiteer off being a professional victim, and then it's also you basically holding up a fucking tip jar and saying, gives me coins, because I cry about being a victim of things I openly fucking try to perpetuate and provoke. Do you think you come off as some intelligent activist when you do this shit? No, you come off like a whiny crybaby bitch that knows for a fact he can't justify any of his activities. So he hides behind bullshit to feel like he's somehow right. But Gage is selfish and envious of others. No, you're just a dick and I don't like you and I don't have to agree with you and fall in line with your dumbass phony baloney views. He wants to be number one, but his ways of getting there is corrupted. I don't want to be number one. I simply want to be allowed to say what I want to say, and I want to be allowed to criticize a bad idea if I see a bad idea in front of me. It's not a matter of, I want to be number one. It's a matter of, I feel like what you're saying could cause negligible harm to others, and I have the right to disagree with it, whether it be respectfully or disrespectfully. And instead of trying to understand why that is, you cry and throw a fucking tantrum and then try to call me a dick for simply saying, yeah, I think you're full of shit. He thinks that success just means that you yell louder than everyone turn the page. better than everyone else. No, I think that success comes from you being able to be persuasive and charismatic and show that you understand very thoroughly the topic in which you discuss, which you do none of those things. Then when it doesn't work out for him, he gets mad at everyone else. No, I dislike you because you're an asshole and you want to be up everyone's ass, fucking with everyone and screaming at everyone because you think you're smarter than everyone, when you just intentionally misrepresent people and call them all stupid to make yourself feel better about being a fuck-up. Gage thinks that everyone should just give him respect. Dude, you literally believe that respect is given, not earned, and if it's given, that means respect is given regardless of anyone else's behavior prior to that. Even though he treats people like crap. Well, how the fuck do you treat people, dick smoker? Do you think you going up to people and belittling people for being sexually assaulted, for example, do you think that's respectful? Do you think that's treating people kindly? When you basically walk up to them and say, you're a stupid fucking asshole because you don't understand what you went through. You had sex, get over it. Even if they didn't feel that way about it the whole time. And yet at the same time, you want to lecture other people for just not seeing it your way.
Which one of you will die?
Respect is given, not earned. Well, here's the thing. If respect is given, not earned, then that means that I deserve respect by nature. By default, I am given respect, therefore I have it already, and I would not request to do anything to actually get it, because I would have it. So Gage needs to respect others with no excuses so that people can respect him. I'm not going to respect someone that acts like a dickhead to me for no fucking reason, just because they can't handle the fact that they're wrong. And here's the thing, why would I then need to do something to earn respect if respect is given automatically? How dumb are you? In case you're wondering, yes, I have a higher IQ than Gage and everyone in his cult. You're so much smarter than everyone in the fucking room that you just constantly babble out of your asshole like a retard because you're not capable of making a conclusive A to B point. I am smarter than Gage. Amos, he is smarter than Gage. A cat is smarter than Gage. What a joke Gage intelligence is. It's such a joke that you're so fucking offended and triggered by me simply disagreeing with you that you kiss yourself and cry over it all the time. Seriously. You don't possess the capacity to debate. It's been shown in every conversation you and I have ever had. When Minuteman, Professor Curious, and I were in that Discord server that you ran, every time we'd say something, you would literally look at it for like 5 seconds and just automatically delete it. You wouldn't even consider the fact that you're wrong. Never. You literally did what people do to antagonize people because you think you're being smart when you piss people off, only because you're out of arm's reach. You do the kind of snivelly little snotty shit people do when they know they won't get smacked, because they think that if they can do that just out of range, that they think they're outsmarting everyone in the room by being a dick intentionally. It's not really funny and it's not wise, it just shows they're too immature to handle a disagreement without crying about it. What a joy to get intelligence is that he thinks that calling people names in a video will somehow make people like him. What a fool. I don't think that'll make people like me. It's not done to make people like me. It's just me openly exercising my ability to disagree, criticize, and be, I guess you can say, critical of someone else's views and actions. It's not a matter of, well, I call you a retard, therefore everyone likes me now. No, it's like, I call you a retard because you behave in a genuinely abhorrent, shitty fucking manner to other people for no real justifiable reason. And people like me ridiculing you, not because I'm doing it to make them like me, but because they understand why I'm telling you that, and they can actually understand the frustration of watching someone like you be a massive piece of shit to someone, only to realize that there's going to be no real ramifications for it because there's nothing a person could physically do to you outside of the internet. That's why people like those videos. It's because they understood the frustration and antagonism that comes with dealing with someone as mentally fucked up as you. I don't hate Gage. However, Gage is impossible to get along with. Anyone that doesn't like you is impossible for you to get along with because you can never look at yourself and wonder if you did something to upset them because in your mind you're always right, regardless of how shitty you act to everyone. Gage is mentally unstable. Dude, you literally end up suicidal on every third day because no one around you pays attention to you or acknowledges you as a person, and is easily motivated for violence over the most simplest things. No, it's more like, I call you a lying piece of shit for being a lying piece of shit, and you say that me simply calling you mean names is the same thing as someone smashing you across the head with a fucking pipe wrench. Most of those things are just him misunderstanding facts. It's not a misunderstanding. You intentionally misrepresent things that people say and then call them liars when they point out the fact that you're twisting their senses around. The world is changing and is leaving Gage and his call behind. Yeah, it's changed so fucking much that literally no one in the room disagrees with anyone on age except you still. Yet Gage still doesn't realize that all of these books are about him only and not me. Well, they are also about you, because these books are also offering like a little bit of a window into your mind and how your brain fucking works. And more or less it shows people that your brain is kind of a fucked up nightmare to see, because it shows that you're so incapable of self-awareness and fundamentally unaware of how you are as a person, that you literally will say one thing and then said you didn't say it like a minute later, after you've just said it in front of everyone. And then you'll play these little fucking retarded ass mind games where you'll pretend you don't remember what you said until you need to point out what you said when someone believes that you're contradicting yourself, only for you to realize that you did in fact contradict yourself and now you're caught in the same bullshit loop you created for yourself prior. So Gage is the only one who still believes that age exists. Excellent. Seriously. Fix your grammar. Fix your fucking grammar. Why is it that you constantly try to act like you're smarter than everyone, but you can't even do the most basic of grammatical fucking checks? Him and the conservatives are the only ones who are stupid enough to believe in the retarded illogical fake news system of age. You're the most retarded person in the room because you'll literally say something fucking stupid and not realize how dumb it is, regardless of how many times you pick it apart and show the logical failings of it. Age never existed, and even after age dies, it will never exist. Well, it doesn't matter what you personally believe, because physical and biological changes are still observable, regardless of your personal feelings on the matter, dumbass. I would consider what Gage says if he showed respect and was actually intelligent enough to hold an argument that didn't involve violent language and racial slurs. Translation: the fact that you intentionally frustrate people and miss their fucking point intentionally because you're a fucking dick is somehow supposed to be a completely normal way for you to handle yourself. And here's the thing. I was relatively calm up until the point that you were just being a whiny fucking dickhead to everyone and running them around in circles to frustrate them because you can't hold an argument that doesn't involve being an annoying, pretentious dick. It would also make knowing Gage more bearable if he would just admit that everyone else already knows. We know that Gage hates drag queens. No, you say that someone hates drag queens because they personally don't agree with Desmond is amazing being a drag queen at 11 years old. That is not the same thing as someone hating drag queens for no apparent reason, dipshit. There is no question about that. Translation: he doesn't agree with something, therefore he hates it. He's even admitted that he once said, I hate drag queens. No, I said I hate those child beauty pageants because it's basically just their parents treating their children like show ponies to trot them out and make them look like fucking hookers and more or less humiliate those children and destroy their sense of self, because once they get used to being in these fucking pageants, they're not themselves anymore. They're whatever mommy and daddy decided to make them into, and it robs them of a fucking childhood. Look what that bullshit did to Michael Jackson and his siblings when they were in the Jackson 5. They didn't have a fucking childhood, and Joe was incredibly fucking abusive. And then went off on a tyrant. Excellent grammar, dumbass. It's supposed to be tirade, and it wasn't even a tirade. It's like, here's why I don't personally don't like this. Here's what I feel the issues are that people are not paying attention to when they go to these kind of things. That's not a fucking rant. That's not a tirade. That's a reasonable series of opinions that a person may present because they're actually concerned for the mental effects this is going to have on kids down the road when they start into maturity, and they realize that their parents basically treated them like a fucking Barbie. They wanted to dress up and throw in front of a bunch of fucking weirdos. If anything, Gage is the one hurting people, not drag queens. I never said that drag queens hurt people. I said that pedophiles hurt people, and I said that exposing your children to people who might be fucking predators is not a good way to like fucking raise your children. Like, here's the thing, I'm not a parent. I'll admit I don't know everything about parenting, but I have enough fucking common sense to not dress my kid up like a fucking Barbie doll and then trot them around in front of people who probably shouldn't even be within 100 feet of school. Drag queens are way better than Gage. They're better because you personally get aroused to the thought of seeing a ladyboy jump around in a skirt. And if you like that, that's fine. But the fact is, you're trying to use your own personal sexual interest in something as a justification for being a harassing douche. because they show respect toward others who don't make people's lives hell because they are trying to protect the corrupted attitude towards people who are not like them. Translation: I don't like something being around children because I feel it might not necessarily be entirely appropriate for them. And you portray that as bigotry because you are a retard that doesn't understand that there are certain themes in drag shows that are not necessarily appropriate for children. But remember, your brain is fucking woken. It's not a matter of being different, it's a matter of like some things just don't belong in some spaces. It's the same reason that you wouldn't give a child a loaded gun. Luckily, most people are not like Gage and his cult, and they know how to be human and intelligent. You're not intelligent or human, you're a quasi-sentient cabbage that portrays itself like a living brick. They can make funny YouTube videos and laugh about life. I laugh about life when I realize that your life is essentially meaningless, and that this is the only thing you can ever do to keep yourself alive is just hate, and hate, cry about hating. They can respect other religions, sexual preferences, lifestyle choices. They can hold a civilized conversation without people calling racist terms like fish and then try to justify racism as a good thing. There's a difference between simply saying that a racial slur that's not a racial slur is not a racial slur, for example. And then there's doing what you do, where you cry like a retard and piss everyone off by being an antagonistic fuckwit to everyone, and then stumble around and shit all over the place because you can't justify a single thing you said. And here's the thing, people try to hold an intelligent conversation with you, but you move goalposts and act antagonistic because you know you can't justify your opinion, so you just deny whatever people say.
To him.
Hold on, I'm gonna get a drink really quick. Okay, let me do a little scripted dramatization of what it's like to actually have a debate with Stetson. You say that age doesn't exist, but why is it that people use age as a way to measure how long a person has been alive or how long something has existed if we don't use age? How are we going to determine that? Well, you use time. Well, time and age are synonyms of each other. They are often used interchangeably. If one word is used in a sentence, they may use the word time instead of age in a sentence. If they would prefer not to repeat the word age twice in the sentence, because it's usually a major thing that a lot of writers don't choose to do. It's like one of the main rules of writing. Well, age doesn't exist and time does. So they're not the same thing. But they literally are the same thing. Like if you look at time, for example, age, epoch, and era are all inside the synonyms of the word, right beneath the definition of the word. Well, that doesn't exist. But how can you determine it doesn't exist if other people have established these things as synonyms of each other for centuries, if not millennia? That doesn't matter. They were all conservatives. A lot of the people that thought of these were like centuries before any real political parties were formed, because it was entirely based mainly upon religious orthodoxy before politics actually entered into it. Well, they were still conservatives. That's not how that works, and you know that's not how that works. You're just a conservative because you don't agree with me. I am a centrist, and I openly say that both sides are full of shit when it comes down to politics. Well, you say my side is full of shit also, so you're a conservative, and that's literally what it's like to talk to this fucking retard. Is that anything you say, regardless of what you say, it doesn't exist as long as it conflicts with his narrative about being a pro-child molester. Like, that's his argument about everything. If it's remotely bad for his narrative, it just doesn't exist. These are the things that Gage does against humanity. You know, I criticize your retarded ass and a handful of other people on the internet, and you've decided that it's a massive impact against the human race because you seem to think that a handful of assholes automatically qualifies every person alive. Yet instead of apologizing like an actual human being, he freaks out like a criminal and rambles nothing but nonsense that just gets him into more trouble. Again, you just say it. People rebuttal the dumb bullshit you say. You can't disprove the shit that they say against you, and because people insult you and call you an asshole for intentionally trying to misrepresent them and waste their time and act antagonistic as shit, you decide that you say that they should apologize to you because them criticizing you or being any bit hostile towards your behavior hurts your fucking feelings. But yet you're allowed to belittle people as much as you fucking want because you've personally decided that it's okay for you to belittle people so long as you don't see it as a problem. 8 books have been written about his monstrosities, Yet no books have been written about Gage doing a service to humanity. Who gives a fuck? Any retard can write 8 volumes of dumbass libelistic nonsense about someone. It doesn't take that fucking much time. Really. If I wanted to go to the internet, for example, and just write a bunch of bullshit about you that's not true, if I were to accuse you of being a child molesting rapist who goes around committing sodomy on people that are unconscious in alleyways after he dopes them up on fucking ketamine, does that mean that everything I say against you must automatically be taken as fact because I published it on Amazon with a Totes Believe Me Bro sticker on the front of it? No. If anything, that means people should be just as willing to scrutinize it as they should be willing to scrutinize you. But the difference is, you're actually likely to be that kind of person if you had that power to do so. As opposed to the shit you accuse me of, where there's literally no evidence except for your ass-hurt feelings on the matter. And your feelings don't really count for shit if all your feelings are entirely based on being a whiny bitch who cries about nothing. Like, I'm just saying. Like, all you do is talk shit and be an antagonistic fuckwit to everyone, and then you act like you being offended about everything must be the same thing as someone being the villain of the story, because you need them to be. Seriously. Grow the fuck up. That's how bad the situation has gotten, at least with the LGBTP+ community. I can say thousands of good things to say about them. Yet with Gage, nothing, because Gage is a grouchy, angry, bitter, hostile, racist person with no happiness in his life. First off, grouchy and bitter are the same thing, you fucking retard. Angry? I'm only angry at you because you're a dick. Hostile? Well, of course I'm going to be hostile to the person that runs around advocating rape. Only a rapist wouldn't be. Racist? Dude, you're more racist than most people in the fucking room because you start deciding that everyone's ethnicity miraculously makes them an oppressor because they need to be an oppressor for you to feel like you're not a waste of space. And here's the thing, I have happiness in my life, it's just that you're not a part of it and therefore you're offended by it because you've more or less decided that your presence in someone's life is required for them to be happy. Gage, biased lifestyle, is just the starting point of the downhill spiral, which is the life of Gage. Not really. It's not biased to look at your opinion, realize your opinion is utter shit, and then just say, yeah, I don't agree with this. It's not biased. In fact, it's usually one of the most critically thinking ways to look at something, is when you look at it and compare it to extant knowledge of a situation and say, yeah, you're full of shit. As opposed to you, where you heard something that you liked one fucking time and decided that whoever said it is miraculously your sun and moon now. Gage enjoys hating people. I don't enjoy hating people, I just think that you're a dick. And I don't have to go along with what you say. Is this breakfast, lunch, and dinner? No, I just think you're an asshole. That's it. You can see how many videos of hate that Gage has made on his YouTube channel. Gage has made on YouTube. Okay, good, about that. The Gage has made, okay. I'm so used to you fucking up sentences that it took me a minute to realize you actually made a sentence that actually had somewhat of a decent structure to it. Desmond is amazing. Drag queen YouTuber has none. MSU philosopher, life coach, motivational speaker has none. I have none. Translation. These people don't make videos where they disagree with people vehemently. Therefore, they are automatically not to blame for any of the shit they say that is antagonistic and shitty to others. Because I've personally decided that the matter is irrelevant to me until I need to weaponize it against someone else. Seriously, just say what you want to say, instead of not saying it. Yet Gage has 26 and counting. It would baffle you how anyone has... God damn it, your sentence structure sucks so much ass. Anyone as to how someone has the time to head beyond the B community, yet can't even wash his hair, but Gage has managed to do that. No, you dick-swallowing fuckboy. I don't like the fact that you're trying to advocate for pedophilia, and then you keep trying to make it gay people. Seriously, die. Fucking die. His evil hypocrisy is who he is. No, it's more like you decide someone's evil because they call you mean names and it hurts your fucking feelings. Stop crying, you fucking pussy. Seriously. You're the biggest pussy in the room because you cry about nothing and then make it everyone else's problem that you go through it. It's what he does. Gage is up to no good, and no amount of YouTube videos will save him from his fate. What exactly is my fate? To deal with you crying like a fucking retard indefinitely? Like, seriously, is that my quote fate, just to hear you cry like a dipshit about nothing and make no sense to anyone? Do you think you come off like this genius philosopher that's telling people the truth and saving them from what you believe is suffering? No. You're basically just spitting a load of horse shit at people, hoping that someone buys it and does something against me in your name. Let's be honest, you don't care about telling the truth. You care about telling people what you want them to know, what you feel they should hear, as opposed to what's actually true, because it's convenient for you if you can just characterize someone else as the fucking devil. That's the only thing you do. You literally exist to be a whiny crybaby asshole who acts like everything you would suffer through that's even remotely inconvenienced to you must be portrayed as the apocalypse because it's the only way to feel like you're not wasting your life doing this garbage. Let me just do a quick post-production note before we finish off this segment. You don't come off like this activist who wants to raise awareness about someone that's actually detrimental and dangerous to the public around them. You come off like a whiny fucking piss baby nanny goat who literally wants to create a situation where he can lie about someone and try to milk the situation for what he believes is a financial benefit. You're the definition of a fucking parasite, and most people that know the kind of person that you are or have dealt with someone like you in their personal lives at one time or another will choose not to be around you and choose not to have any involvement in your life, because literally everything you do in their life is just going to be you being an asshole and making their life difficult, because that's all people like you ever seem to manage to do. Like, whenever you do something that fucks someone's life up or makes their life hard, you try to blame them for it, when it's you that's constantly acting like the force that's trying to fucking sabotage their life. You don't care about what other people go through, you don't care about the suffering actual trans people go through, you don't care about the suffering that gay people might go through on account of genuine homophobes, or how people that are black might go through genuine bigotry and systemic oppression, because all that matters to you at the end of the day is that you can use these people as the stepping stone to more or less cry your sorry bitch ass sob story to dumb fucks that might believe you because they believe they're doing the right thing. Their heart might genuinely be in the right place, but they don't fucking know that they're being lied to by you. And because they don't know they're being lied to, they'll believe you. And the problem is, because they'll believe you, they'll allow you to act as shitty as you want to anyone around them, just so long as they feel like they're doing the right thing by helping you. Even if they're helping someone who realistically they would want nothing to do with if they knew all your views and all your statements towards people, especially victims of SA and survivors of rape. At the end of the day, you're not an activist. You're not a filmmaker, you're not a writer, you're not a screenwriter, you're not a hero, you're not someone that's going to be respected and loved by the public. You're someone that is literally viewed as an eyesore to those around you, to the point where you're constantly suicidal and depressed because people can't stand your presence. How about instead of blaming me every time something in your life goes to shit, you look in the fucking mirror and ask yourself, what the fuck am I doing wrong?